What is up, y'all? It's your boy Yannick coming at you on this Sunday with another episode of the Church of MHA, live reacting and discussing My Hero Academia chapter 316, Dynamic Duo Time. I got my right-hand man, Archbishop East, with me. What's good?
Undefeated of the East, baby. What it do?
Now, while I wait for y'all to file in and tell me how your days are going and what y'all been up to, a lot of people talk about the anime, especially with the order the anime has been doing things in. So just thought I'd real quick talk about this especially because Hex asked me about this, where the direction of the anime seems to be what they want to do is establish Endeavor Agency as the end of the season, like story point, and then retro, like actively go back and then tell the story of MBA. And so instead of it being like a jarring and like a tone shift, they're going to build up towards My Villain Academia. And then, so it's something that the audience is like expecting. In short, Bones is acting as if is directing the season in a way that like it's almost as if they're like, okay, manga readers aren't going out of their way to tell anime onlys My Villain Academia is coming, which manga readers are doing, so they didn't have to make that choice. But they're also kind of setting it up where, especially since everybody here is a manga reader, otherwise why did you click this stream? Hawk's killing Genus plot, the way this is going to be set up is like if we have that Bakugo discussion where it's like, oh, like I figured out my hero name and I need to tell somebody, and then it's like, oh, Best Genus is missing. Once you get to that point in NBA where Hawks is trying to call Lobby and meet up with him, and you get the scene with Best Genus, instead they can like also use the idea of Bakugo thinking about Best Genus missing as a callback, which will make you further think that Best Genus was actually killed. So it's designed to really sell the death of Best Genus. They're basically upping the dark factor, making Hawk seem more like a genuine traitor that's falling into the darkness. They're like kind of building up that mystery a bit more for anime only. So assuming we don't go out of our way to spoil this for them, they might really should end up liking NBA and the stuff in the war possibly even better due to the story structure. So maybe let's quiet down a bit in the public sphere talking about what's going to be happening in the upcoming season, just because it might, kind of spoil what the directing is trying to set up. Let's see. I think that's where that's going. You got any thoughts real quick, East? Also, shout out to Anaya for the super sticker.
No thoughts. I just saying. I know if Bones do what y'all want, then y'all gonna switch up real quick. And all that slander y'all was talking, you gonna take it back. I'm just saying, like I said, let them use the anime, let them use the medium to their advantage. This may be a better way they feel like this may be a better way to market it for themselves going forward than rather just jumping in, because NBA breaks your neck. When you a manga reader, you have no clue that bitch is coming, that shit broke your neck. Like you could have handed like we probably will get this, but nah, you get this shit when you got it, and nobody expect no full NBA arc. Well, nobody like, all right, next chapter we finna get an NBA arc. Well, nobody expecting that shit. Then no, a single person was calling it. I promise you, he was not. So just let's just see how they handle it from here. It's not that they're excluding it. If you're mad about anything, you should be mad about they didn't mention Shirakumo so far in the thing, because that was important to at least, if you don't have the whole Aizawa thing, at least you got a hint that Shirokuma existed and there was something that happened with him.
Oh no, they did have that scene with Mike asking him about if it's about Shirakumo.
Did they have then they had a little flashback scene when they looked at him from the back?
I don't think they showed his image, but they did have him actually like mention it at least. So like they didn't completely like erase that plot point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, let Bones cook a little bit. Let's see what they got planned. They're not excluding. It's not like excluding NBA. Let's just see what they're gonna do. This could still work out in our favor. Let's just see.
Yeah. And we have 48, which means I can basically start the chapter now. But there was something I read up here that I actually really wanted to respond to. Hold up, what was that? Yeah, Joseph Ciola said that this is the first time they rearranged stuff. I'm going to point out that the anime enhanced final exams to a certain degree because in the manga, final exams are everybody's exam takes place at the same time, and as some people get done earlier, they get to comment on it. But in the anime, they made it where the exams happen like one by one, and so everybody got to like see each other's exams and talk to each other and interact that way. So like this isn't rare for Bones, and sometimes when they do this, it actually makes it even better. Uh, oh snap! Yep, Anaya super chatting saying thoughts and prayers towards Christian player or soccer player Christian Ederson who had a heart attack during the game. That actually sounds rough. Like, hope dude's okay, family. I hope the game was kind of like called off and they didn't hold him having a heart attack against his team. I would like to think that that would be like a let's incomplete this and address the health issues at hand. That yikes. That okay. Uh, treasure your cardiac system, y'all.
Mhm.
All right, let me pull up the chapter first. Hold on. Kobe. Oh my god. All right, there we go. Let's see. People. Yep. People in the training. Yep. All right. My Hero Academia 316. I'm starting this. Wow. Got word from All Might. All right, Endeavor's pulling up. Let's see. Sorry we're late. Rain and I don't get along so well. Status report: any enemy besides Nagant. Ah, Endeavor. Oh, yep. Hawks doesn't look like he can. I should have known. I'm not up for flying just yet.
Strike
Yep.
one on waiting a week. There you go.
Yep.
All you had to do was wait a fucking week. This nigga can't do shit.
Which I'm pretty sure we even mentioned this during last week, where it was like, nah, those wings are tiny. He's not doing anything meaningful. Hawks. No power left. I can't pull them up. Based on the timing of that explosion, I don't think she caused it on her own. All for One gave her an extra perk to use, and he must have booby trapped her body. Hey, I'm Hawks, your replacement. All for One must have sweet talked you into this. I know you're better than this, and now that you fought that kid, I bet you've realized that it's too early for us to throw in the towel. So please tell us what you know. Please leave us with some hope to hold on to. He used you, but don't let it end with that. You're a hero. You're Lady Nagant. My replacement? The Safety Commission, huh? I bet that, like me, you've done horrible things, all while following orders. So then, how do you still have that glimmer in your eyes? This road only leads to chaos. The way forward is shrouded in darkness. So how? How are you people still so? Let's see. We get like a nice little flashback to her. Within 2 months, I was supposed to bring the target to a mansion in Hybori Woods. Not just me, he reached out to some others. Tell me, Mr. Replacement, my soul couldn't take any more. So how do you still have that look in your eye? I wasn't alone in this. And what can I say? I'm optimistic to a fault. Deku, there's no one else besides him, right? No, no, this wasn't the deal. You weren't supposed to get caught. Take me to the boss. He's all I've got left. I gotta tell him I'm sorry. Man, the look on Deku's face. This, bro, he's like, bro, you really right now for real. Chisaki, shut up, you diseased maggot. I'm talking to her. Do you remember everything you did to Eri? Eri, of course. With Eri, I could. You want to say sorry, do you? If you're willing to direct the same energy toward Eri, I'll honor your deal in Lady Nagant's place. Whoa. Whoa.
Shit.
Kid, are you okay? Lady Nagant and Kai Chisaki are in custody. Get word to the cops, and we need medical aid for this one. Midoriya is badly hurt. He needs help too. All for one. Good luck in there, everyone. Be cautious. Oh, what the hell? What?
Yes, sir.
What? Time out. That was okay. That's a page turn, right? Yo, hold up. Hold up. I gotta process this for a bit.
What page are you on?
Oh, what up, Squid?
Man, I just got the new Ratchet and Clank game, man. I'm feeling good. Today's a good day. Code Ice Cube.
I'm on page 12. Holy shit.
Also, yes.
Was that Ponzu? Hey, Ponzu's here too. Let's go.
The transition was much more natural than what was told in the leaks. Then
no
again,
shit.
I know.
Okay.
It's always that way. Hold up.
It always is that way, but this time it was even like way, way better. Like this is like, whew.
Yo, I love it. Talk about good luck in there, everyone. Be cautious. Hang on, Deku. Don't be reckless. Hybori Woods, former hideout of the Creature Rejection Clan, the hate group against heteromorphs. Bringing it back with one of the territories we saw during MBA.
That was the mansion we saw in the war arc.
No, Hybori Woods, the former hideout of the Creature Rejection Clan. That's
no. After the war arc, remember when Dabi was in that mansion?
Oh yeah.
Just look at me.
All for One and Shigaraki still aren't capable of stealing One for All from me. Dog, the look on Deku's face. It's wild that man, hold up. Did you enjoy your Q&A session with Lady Nagant? Well, Izuku Midoriya. Because if you're seeing this message, that must have been what happened. This place is deserted. I should have known. You see, I love predicting and reading people. And a boy like you could never outright abandon someone like her, yes. I didn't force her, She acted of her own free will. But those poor souls who stumble on the road of life are labeled villains. People go on and on about quirks preaching the merits of individualism, but ours is a regimented society under tight control, one where the wrong sort of individuality gets you ostracized, purged. Democracy, socialism, doesn't matter. There are no exceptions because the root of all this predates the concept of human society altogether. It's the principle that governs all social organisms. The path you've chosen is a thorny one. Every battle grinds away at your soul with no end in sight. Can you guess who was on my mind the entire time I was in jail? You. All might no longer interest me. I've moved on from that great useless oath. Now, it's your turn. And then the hideout explodes.
He points like Uncle Sam.
I know. It's great.
So now, Anna, can you see why I sent you? I sent you Bioshock, but I didn't send you Bioshock Infinite, which is the bigger one where they use that propaganda scene with the Uncle Sam ass nigga.
Yes, I remember.
I always thought Bioshock 1 was a better portrayal of Randian worldview and how terrible it actually is.
So I don't think, because I saw somebody in the chat say there's no indication of a time passing. This isn't supposed to be like it's all the way, been 2 months. No, this is.
Let me break.
They made it a point to move on this.
Let me break this timeline down to them.
All right.
She got that info when she met him the first time. That was before the time skip of at the end of April. That same day she got broken out 297, the same day as the war, that same morning, he told her, bring the target here at this point in time. Or it would have been the same day, the next day. It would have been that time. He didn't just tell her recently. So that 2 months thing is basically already passed, essentially, for the most part. Or we're coming up on the end of the next 2 months when she was supposed to bring him.
So it is right now. We are like in May right now.
Damn near in May, most likely, yeah.
Damn. Or because it was
That's
April.
like at
It was
latest.
April.
Yeah, at latest we're in May though, because I don't
Yeah,
think it's not supposed to be like we jump 2 months. They specifically are moving before the 2 months. So this game of cat and mouse is kind of because this is what's interesting about this is that this differs in All Might's first year from the standpoint of All Might's first year was him leaving or like he was like alongside his mentor, and then like his mentor was running point, then he like leaves and trains, hides out, does all that stuff. But Deku's first year is him on the run, on the point, like not on the run, but like busting up in cribs looking for AFO. Like we're not getting the like Deku's never scared mentality is really shining through here. Mm-hmm. But also it is nice to see that while Deku has been an empathetic and sympathetic person, and he is like opening up to villains, he still is also giving them that, but you still a bitch nigga energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Naya said something very interesting when I was talking to him Friday. He was talking about how Deku's actually developing, for the first time in his life, he's actually developing a real hatred towards All For One. Like true, unboiled, like hatred. Mm-hmm. So you can see in his eyes right before he says that final panel about All For One. And he's looking at Nagant's body. Well, I'm pretty sure it's dead in this one.
Yeah, she's dead. If she's not dead, I don't. Ricochet, don't fake her. Don't do an order. Please don't do an order. Please. Don't do the wheel of P, man. Let her die.
I mean, to be fair, if they use her quirk, she's not bald, so her quirk is preservable. I don't think it's very like unrealistic to say she can be modified. And then she could kind of become kind of like a high end herself while keeping her intelligence and empathy.
Just kill her. We don't need that. We don't need that. Just kill her. She dead. Well,
she's dead.
We had something nice. It's gone. Blew up on our face.
Yes.
Should have known. Should have known. That was all our fault. Told y'all niggas, he always killing the most fucking coolest quirks or design. Curious gone. Majestic dead. Yep. Should have known she wouldn't have been no different.
Majestic had the drip, bro. That's the thing. We saw him like for 2-3 panels, and he died that decade.
Look, if you want a good thing, like, and that. Look, I don't see a reason for Nagant to live here.
Me too.
Specifically because the resentment in Deku's face and the building like hatred that seems to be becoming like the actual anger that he's like starting to properly like foster. That's not like I'm just lashing out in this moment because I'm upset in this moment, but like a proper like, no, I'm here to fold you, like energy that he is developing is extremely important. And also the other thing that I'm going to say highly suggest this hasn't been that long is the fact that his arms.
His brazier wasn't fixed, but we don't know how long a support item takes, especially something out of like America to get repaired.
Yeah, but he'd probably like be doing something or like have like other gloves or something, like something else too to like help offset it.
I mean, you would be a terrible manufacturer if you only sent one copy. I feel like you need a spare at least.
No, hell no. Nigga, they didn't have time. What time did they have? Like you talking about
are prototypes. That
yeah. You that's prototypes. You ain't gonna be like you ain't finna call somebody out talking about you only sent one. Nigga, that's a prototype under rush conditions. And like she had plenty of time to go send that shit. She probably had a week at most, 2 weeks, and then had to send a prototype version. Like she ain't no fucking like time.
We can also suggest the fact that Japan right now, their all contact with the world are cut because of All For One stuff, so we can take a flight, or you know what I mean. So
Also, real
Maybe.
quick,
Yeah.
super chat.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. That.
Joseph Ciola, all for one, 5D chess champion for 200 plus years strong. I think he's only 130,
Yeah, this one. Yeah,
but
one max two 1.5. That's the maximum.
Like
That's the
150
maximum.
is the maximum. Well, okay, if you add up like the largest possible values for who could take one for all, yeah, you get somewhere around there. Because
Mhm.
18, because you have to
40.
do no, you have to do 40 times 7, and then you have to do plus 1. No. God,
No,
no.
no, because
by the way, hold on. And somebody was like, "Oh, I like the fan translation said you're next." The whole "now it's your turn" is another play on just like in Camino.
yes.
Uh, it's phrased differently in Japanese, but in English,
Mhm.
because of the way the pronouns shake out, it ends up working still.
Yeah,
Especially when you listen to the dub. When All Might and All for One are fighting, he grabs All Might from behind with the rivet stab and throws him into a tower, while saying, you can't just do what you want with the League of Villains because I am here," and like throws him. Just like All Might points, now it's your turn. He's stealing another Camino line from All Might here, and that's why it's your turn and not just your
oh
next.
my God, like speak for copyright or something, man.
Like, well, I
Man.
mean, All for One was like, "Oh, heroes want to have catchphrases. Well, all of those are mine now." Like I wouldn't be surprised if All for One had like stolen somebody's fire quirk and then like shot something. He'd probably yell "Flash Fire Fist" if Endeavor was around just to fuck with them. That seems like the kind of person he is.
Yeah, wondering. So you spitting? I don't know what these people talk about. Horikoshi getting tired and rushing. No, nigga, there's just no need to fucking pussy
Okay,
foot
so can
around.
I give my idea about what's going on with the pace?
Sure.
All right, so this isn't necessarily a negative, but I've been kind of looking at this from like a character perspective, and I think the reason why the pace is so fast is because Deku himself is the one trying to get to All for One as fast as possible, and he's using that, and All for One's using that urgency to essentially lead him into traps, and he's just playing with him. And I think that can explain why the pace has been quicker.
Also, I mean, I agree, but also, what do y'all niggas want? Y'all always want some more build up and steady padding when we don't need steady padding. If you want, just go reread the series and get a fresh memory because it's not finna slow down. I told y'all we finna be moving at fucking fast pace. I told y'all at 306, told y'all at 307, I told y'all niggas at 308, but you just don't want to listen. You just want to sit there and keep griping and complaining. It's going to keep moving fast. There's no reason to sit around. So if you don't like it move fast, go ahead and just let it go. There you go, because it's not finna change. He's not finna switch up because y'all crying because it's moving fast. He already set this up, all this up prior to. What do y'all want? What y'all want? Y'all wanted them having a conversation about should we move on the mansion or should we not move on the mansion? Should we move or should we like them prepping up to go to a mansion just so they could do that? I'm pretty sure the mansion exploding is not to fool anybody. Nobody's fooled by, oh my God, did they just die in the explosion? No. Everybody, we know they didn't fucking die. At most Common Woods got maybe injured, but like niggas that can move at Mach speed are in the building with them. They got out. They're
Not
good.
to mention, Endeavor does have flame manipulation. So
Exactly. So like they're good. This is not the you missed the point to it. This is just to point out they're outclassed. They thought they had it. I told y'all before Horikoshi played y'all niggas when y'all was so gassed up. Oh, the big three and Deku team up with all by two. This is gonna be so cool. Look at the fucking alliance now. They don't fail 2 times over. Like it's the showcase. All for One has these niggas in the palm of his hand, and he's
But
literally toying
He's,
with them.
he's literally
while I do,
Buddha.
uh, while I do agree that the pace is probably going to stay quick, I do think that for some scenes, specifically like emotional payoff, like for example, the students dealing with Midnight's death at UA, or just like the whole war arc in general, I think that should have some genuine time dedicated to that, and I think the emotional scenes is where the story needs to slow down.
The thing, but for me, it's just like uh, we always have like allegories with All for One, and even the villains in general, they have like allegories with some like different figures about religion, like Buddha stuff. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it is that you say it in English, but I heard this in an anime. Yeah? But I heard it for the first time in French, and it said the quote is like you can outrun you can wait you're in on the palm of the Buddha. When you're on his palm, you can run as you want to, but you will always stay on his palm, like is that is the feeling like that I had for off one, like the way that he's like just 5D chasing everything, and he's playing people like they're yeah, like they're like on the chessboard. He's playing against himself. There is no player in front of him. He's just like making like a one-on-one, and the player and the players and the chess pieces are Deku, All Might, Shigaraki. For the moment, it's
Yes.
fun.
Okay, real quick. Actually, I did want to talk about that because you're talking about the allegory or the story from the Monkey King,
Hmm.
where he's like challenging Buddha, and he literally is like to travel to the edge of the universe, and he's like,
Yes.
"Ha, I did it!" And like he's like, "Oh, ha, I flexed," and then it's literally Buddha is like above
Yes.
him, and is like,
Yeah.
"Monkey King, you're still in my hand."
Yeah.
It's like it's so
Mhm.
yeah. But if you remember, they even say he approached with a smile like Buddha.
Yes, that's
So
true.
that like
That's
you're
where.
supposed to get that feeling where like he's like this perverse Buddha, all encompassing, surrounding the
Mhm.
universe, everything like, and that whole speech where he was like, "I like to read people and predict what they do." There's a certain level of people always have tells, and
Mhm.
especially I think Hunter x Hunter fans should
Mhm.
remember this when they were talking about how yes, Netero by having these hands has like 10 million plus combinations, but
Mhm.
due to his own personality type, this will influence certain choices, and then that turns shrinks it down to tens of thousands instead of just having to contemplate millions.
Mhm.
And there's that like factor too, where you start putting in certain scenarios for people, and as you get to see them react more and more, you're like, okay, this is how they respond to this. That mean more than likely means this. You can look into their background and learn like certain aspects of their behavior from their
Mhm.
childhood and how that would manifest and play more and more into their psychological weaknesses. And that's very much what All for One likes to do. And
Mhm.
he's gotten a lot of time to sit there and think about who Deku is.
Mhm.
And like that's all he's had to do in prison. But also, as much as people don't like to admit it, there's a lot of generalized human behavioral patterns that manifest. And so,
Mhm.
like, if you're going to be a hero, there's automatically a subset of like behaviors that will more than likely be associated with you. If you're a hero that's actually like decent, like, and then like you start being able to narrow it down just based on certain metrics that you find within like different descriptors and parameters, and you can like kind of predict based off that. And that's what a lot of this comes down to. So, and like somebody mentioned, AFO never is straight up said after they like, why do they keep talking as if tomorrow will come? There will never be like an actual proper rest.
Mhm.
So if we're not getting, if Alpha One's not going to provide them proper rest, and Deku himself has consciously made the decision to not rest,
Yep.
then because they've talked about this, like Deku, you need to make sure you're taking time to rest.
Mhm.
Both sides have decided this will be a nonstop, like I'm hunting you,
Mhm.
and we're both playing games with each other until we're both ready. So the pace is matching the intent of both forces. both forces want this, are like trying to wrap this up or like get this done at a specific time and like whoop ass.
You know what? I'm glad you said it because now it's time for Archbishop to take over the stream.
All right,
Hold up.
No, this is exactly why. Because I'm about to start off with this, and I'm about to take down, and I'm about to go at because Midoriya, the Kono Kami, they've been saying some stuff that I've been itching to get to.
But I gotta address the super chat.
Yeah, that's the reason I'm about to go in it because they agree with Siobhan, and I need to go into all this because there's been more comments about the same stuff. So the super chat from Siobhan Robinson, the GOAT. I feel as though it should be Shigaraki doing what Off One is doing, all that My Villain academic progression down the drain. And you, Midoriya, Miura, Kano Kami, agreeing with Siobhan, that's where I have an issue with everybody. And you talking about they're just rushing and throwing everything, we're skipping past everything, and we're in the fuck because he's leaving everything behind, all these threads just to get to the end. We're not in the end. It's the final act. I wish he never said final act because ever since he said that, y'all been acting like y'all lost your minds. And the final arc of Bleach was literally 40 chapters. That's the final arc alone. This just said the act. He didn't say, all right, it's ending next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Even the editors don't know. The niggas who work beside him have more knowledge than us. No, don't even know when this ends. Nobody has an indication but Horikoshi. Y'all just projecting because y'all think he's rushing things. There's no reason to paddle boat. All this has been set up. We know how this works. Shigaraki and them not hiding. And oh, where's the league? Let's go tiptoe around and find out where they at. This, that, and the other. Like, we need to wait for the right moment. No. And then the heroes are not like doing focus on school. That this at the point in time, this is a war doesn't end in a day. This final act is the war. Both sides are clashing head to head, making moves at one attack or the other. Y'all are rushing everything and thinking he just forgot about this or he's going to the end. You said that. He didn't say that. That's the indication you get based off whatever have you. Nobody said, oh, NBA stuff is down the drain. All for One taking the lead, All Might being in the forefront endeavor. This is because all those characters are getting out the paint, undeniably. I don't care what you talk about. You can debate Hawks, whichever you want. Endeavor, All Might, and All for One are going out the paint. And if you want to save Endeavor, the most he's going to be is crippled because he's not going to be the top player dog. This is about the rise of the next generation. How many times has the entire story is about kids becoming pro heroes? Like, you think they're just going to stay down here while they got all the other generation is still at the top? No, the kids have to rise. This is about them. There are other things at play right now that are better for the narrative. Like y'all just want to see Class 2A so bad that you think, oh, Hardcore just forgot about them and will never get their reactions to anything. Who said that? Did he say that or did you say that? When we see them, we don't know how they'll be affected by everything they've seen. Y'all keep thinking that Deku was the only person out here seeing the bad in the world. He's not. And we know that the kids are out here for a simple fact has been confirmed and set up. And Shindo and them proved to us everybody's out there in the streets. They don't have time to, we shouldn't use kids. They used them in the fucking war. They don't care now. Don't know you got the hero badge, or you just a hero, you in the streets. Y'all keep rushing and you keep talking about this Shigaraki, all the NBA stuff down the drain. How so? Is Shigaraki out for the count completely? Or
that's the thing about it. I had to. We are on the same point when we talk about this, about that subject. Right now Shigaraki, from what we know, he's under his test. I keep saying that. I will keep saying that, and that is the thing how I say it. He's under the test right now. That test is fighting by the quirk of All for One, getting control over it, because that's how I see stuff, And
sorry.
Yeah, so let me just finish, and I will give you the word. So the thing that we know from the story, even the name of the story, Academia, it is about character. It's about the students. And Deku is, even if he's not in school anymore, he's still the new generation, like you said. And step by step, we're gonna see that yes, this generation has to rise up to become the new heroes of that new world. You know what I mean? Because the world in Japan, the world changed. It became like worse than because from what we know, the crime rate is the normal crime rate around the world is about 20% in My Hero Academia. It is freaking high. 20% is freaking high. But right now in Japan, it is the worst place because they just got Gikato Makia walking through I don't know how many kilometers in a straight line like in Japan, and they get villains on the road. They get the most dangerous villains on the streets. People become crazy. They start to see if you look like a heteromorph, they begin to shoot you at sight. The CRC is still out there. We don't know what they're doing right now. You must have fun right now. You know what I mean? All these things are happening. And when people talk that Shigaraki must be the one to do this stuff, no. Shigaraki, his time will come. You just have to be patient. Because from what we know, he still has time need to rest. That's also why All for One try to play with Deku. It's just because he's waiting to him to rest because the way the body was fucked up, they don't have Dr. Garaki. Literally, they don't have Dr. Garaki to fix him. So right now he's just like he looked like a corpse literally. So that's why he's trying to. What I see, what All for One doing is literally, he's trying to uh, get time. What is winning time? I will say. I don't know. In French, we say winning time, but just trying to uh, do. I don't, maybe delay the meeting between him and Deku because he's. Why did he say? Did he say to Nagant to meet him in a place in 2 months? Why? Why in 2 months? Why not directly?
So
That's the
sorry.
that's the that's just to talk to the people, just to tell them that man has a plan behind the plan. He's on the eyes and shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, what I'm thinking right now is that he's trying to delay the meeting between him or Shigaraki and Deku because Shigaraki needs to heal first.
Okay.
Mhm.
So can I go kind of next?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta
go.
go,
So
bro.
all right. So about like the whole like, oh, is this like the end of Shigaraki? You know, with his framing in the story, he's shown as an icon of liberation itself.
Mhm.
And if we're looking at just like the themes of the story, like in terms of the societal commentary, it's this battle between essentially chaos and order. And
Mhm.
Shigaraki embodies that chaos. And also, it's like here's one idea. We kind of discussed the religious imagery of the series, right?
Mhm.
And we agree that Shigaraki acts as a false messiah figure, right?
Mhm.
What if
Antichrist,
this
yeah.
is yeah? What if this is just a battle with temptation?
Mhm.
It- what if that's the case? All for One, like symbolically, is this figure of temptation, and Shigaraki must overpower his will and
Mhm.
prove himself like the true like liberator, the true savior
Mhm.
um, of the world as this destroyer.
Ian,
Yep.
well, you gotta. I'm gonna piggyback off you when you finish. Let me know because that's something I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of one idea I had, and also someone on Twitter just posted that one of the shaded villains looked like the hash slinging slasher
Bro,
from
I thought I was the only one to see that shit.
What? What? He looks like what? Like
the
who?
hash slinging slasher.
Remember, she was like, "I'm not the only one he called on," and then it's
Yeah,
like you can see the Hasling slasher. The Hasling slasher been there since 297. All the
yeah.
silhouettes are highly consistent from
Although
297 to now.
here's what I'm most hyped for out of all these guys.
The
Look at the
Chimera
guy in the
one.
dreadlocks. Yeah, Chimera.
We
Go.
know you squid. We know you fucking racist, political mutant merchant. We know discrimination merchant. We know you, nigga.
No, 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 no,
Oh,
no.
no,
It's not
man.
just that. No, it's not just that. There's a lot of reasons why Chimera is my favorite. All right, out of all the movie villains, his
I mean,
design is the best.
it's
Okay,
not that hard.
hold on, real quick. I do want to address this pacing discussion though, because My question for people who wanted to go slower is, I want you to really sit down and think about what we would be talking about, because the Todoroki family drama, for example, because Endeavor's here, so like that's his main plot outside of like being a hero, doing the action thing. So, but the way that that plot is usually handled is we spend a couple chapters on it. People go do other things with their lives because having a heavy family argument conversation is not something you want to do every single day of your life. It just isn't. Trust me. Um,
Mhm.
so that's where Endeavor's plot is like hot like to a certain degree it seems fast, but then you realize who's taking center stage. An impatient Endeavor, the man who couldn't handle not being able to become number one and started like rushing to have a bunch of different children and conducting human experiments to make it happen. Who else? The Hawks, the man literally known as being too fast for his own good.
Yep.
Deku, the guy who's like constantly trying to live up to All Might, almost destroyed his body, specifically in the last fight, saying that it's his job to stop All for One. There's a consistent thing where almost everybody in this round is impatient. They've been rushing. That's been one of the issues the entire time. The Hero Safety Commission directly stated we moved too fast on Kamino and All for One got away. Now they move too fast during the war arc, and All for One, Vestige for One takes over Shigaraki. Shigaraki gets away. They're moving too fast here, and they didn't even get an interaction with All for One. Just a message left for
The
them.
recorded hologram.
He was laughing at them literally.
They're rushing ahead just to be further and further behind. That has been a thing throughout the entire story.
Take your time, niggas. Take your time.
Let me address this too. So this is what y'all. It's basically this is what y'all wanted. I wish y'all just had said it. See, this is my issue with y'all. Y'all just don't say what you really want. You try to sugarcoat it around the story when you really just want something specifically, and y'all fucking like this is my like the Ochiko shit. Y'all really, there's no issue with her screen time or development as a character. It's literally on par with Bakugo. It's just that you just want a big meathead fight. Now, you just admit you want a big meathead, raw, bloody fight. That's perfectly fine to understand that you want. But don't go try to sugarcoat it and blame it on the story and Horikoshi's writing just because you didn't get it how you didn't get what you actually wanted. Now, if you like honest like that's the bullshit I don't like. If you just honest like, bro, I just want a meathead fight for Ochiko, she could be more raw. Okay, that's cool. But don't try to sugarcoat and bullshit like, man, Horikoshi know what he doing with her. I got no faith in her character. Like, nah, that's just bullshit. Because he ain't gave her nothing. No, fuck that shit. Y'all be on that bullshit. What this is my issue. What this is what y'all actually wanted. You want a full aftermath of each single child having their little moment and falling off like, oh, they're crying, they're this, that other. That's what you wanted. You wanted each single fucking child, and you wanted them to have their own specific chapter. Who says the midnight stuff is over? What death so have you ever had death in your life and you just over in a month or two? Because we're finishing to the kids real soon. See, I think Momo and them are just like, that shit in the past, whatever. It don't even matter.
Imagine that.
Like no, they gonna what? I can't wait because I think Asarata, he made a good point on how Bakugo. You didn't see Bakugo's whole fucking crying and like shit like that post Kamino, but he had that moment. He had the one moment where he broke down and let out all his feelings that were boiled up. The kids have to get back on the street. They don't have time for leisure. They don't have time for all that. They are moving just like Deku's, not as fast and reckless as he is, but they're still doing shit. Like, you don't know what's gonna happen when the kids come back into the paint and when they have their moment. Like, you don't know what that is. You keep acting like Horikoshi just skipped over and never come back to it. When has that ever been the case? Please tell me, do you have a blueprint that says when we go back to the kids, they'll never mention midnight again? We'll never see how it affected them? Because that's not how death works. When somebody fucking really influential in your fucking life dies. She had 2 people influential in her life fucking die on her. And you think that's just, it's whatever. Okay, then. Y'all on that real bullshit. There are more important stuff to the narrative right now, focusing on the aftermath of the Todoroki family drama. Think about all the aftermath. all those characters specifically needed to be placed where they're placed so we can be moving like we're moving now. All that aftermath, the Todoroki family drama, Endeavor teaming up with Hawks, Hawks having his little backstory, fucking All Might and Deku, everything needed to be put where it was placed. He has the better idea of the narrative than you ever will because he has the full picture. Like I keep saying, just this shit by 15, 20 chapters ahead. That nigga already had Nagant dying and then pulling up to the house back in 297 when you couldn't even think of where the fucking story was going. So stop trying to check that nigga and just wait. I'm tired of y'all bullshitting behind that, this, that, and the other. Just say what you want. You want a chapter for the kids in Aftermath, but the shit is not done. Just be honest. That's why I don't have a problem with honesty. I have a problem with y'all bullshit.
I think most of us have accepted that that's going to happen. I think what's aggravating the more I guess impatient fans, I guess, is how long it's necessarily going to take.
I would like to add something to what you said, East. The thing about it's more like just thinking about how people I can understand how they feel about stuff in general. Yeah, how should this, how should that, But you have to understand the chapter that we read today isn't a chapter that he finished this week. Just to tell you how distribution work, you have to understand that the Shonen Jump is in paper form. It takes time to distribute all over a country because you have to put that in big trucks and everything. They have to go from the Shonen Jump place to over Japan. It takes time. So right now, this chapter is all the chapter that Horikoshi is writing right now is maybe the fifth one. The maybe it's already more than in 20, maybe in around 21. Chapter 321 is writing right now, or it's writing right now. You have to think like this. These men, all the Shonen Jump guys, the chapter that we are reading today is a chapter that they finished like weeks ago.
Yeah.
Weeks ago. They don't finish that in 1 week, then they go distribution. You have to think. He has to make a chapter, in a week. Give it to the editor. The editor has to say that if it can go or not. It gets scanned. They add some stuff. They have to put it go to the imprinting. They have to print everything. Then print everything. They have to put it in the truck. The loading. The truck has to be full. And the truck the truck have to go to different cities in cities places. The detailist to get so you can get the jump in your hands, bro. They can't do that all in 1 week. So the chapter that we read today is a chapter that was done the month before.
Exactly, man.
The month before, because some people don't realize stuff like this. Really, I can understand if you don't know how stuff works, with the distribution, but everything takes time. What the hell?
Also, real quick, I want to hit up these super chats.
Okay.
Andrew Lalavar, me just waiting for certain people to complain that Nagant didn't die from being internally exploded while also secretly agreeing a little. Well, I do think she died. So,
yeah, I'm convinced she died. Like, it's not that, she blew up, and it's like the way they portrayed her after talking to her and after the fact. And don't blame the whole, he called a hospital, her to get an ambulance for her. Nigga, how many people die in an ambulance car or die when they get to the hospital? Hello? Yep. Like, come on now. Every time, don't tell me you never seen a movie or TV show when they get, what you thinking? They're like, all right, we're just gonna leave her to die. Come on now. Of course they would attempt. Don't mean she lived though, because
at least we know the ambulances are working.
Hold on. Even if you're dead, they usually still send something to take you. So
yes.
Yeah, so real quick, Siobhan Robinson said it, but I will say I did call Eerie giving Overhaul his arms back when she gets her closure from him. That's kind of the only way that the boss can be saved, unless Eerie goes out of her way to rewind the boss, which I think would be another way to do that, but I don't know how they would go about getting that done. So it
I
really,
wonder if the boss is gonna have any um memory of what Chisaki actually did to him.
Damn, he gonna do it like
Shizaki.
her. Shizaki gonna pull a Hurricane's ass on. I mean, the boss gonna pull a Hurricane's ass on Kazaki. I laugh. You don't get to ease your conscience. You gonna live with that shit. Boss, please, blah Shizaki.
also,
Yeah.
also there, as far as we know, there has not been some massive time skip because somebody asked that in the chat too.
Well, from
The idea of what has happened here is that it's at the latest they would be like in early May to mid May, but they had this encounter with Nagant in April. She told them that within 2 months she needed to take Deku there. If you think about it from that perspective, the jailbreak would have happened towards the end of March, so they had less than a month to get there.
Mm.
yeah, so like she would have already told that nigga like yeah, she would have that 2 months take her back a whole month and a half because she got told that 2 months ago when she was talking to him. She would have gave him he would have gave her all directions she needed. Then like, yo, in 2 months, about take him here. Shigaraki be ready. She wouldn't tell her Shigaraki be ready, etc. But from what we know, of course, Shigaraki would be ready by that time. And then just because I was just reading the war again, Ujiko was like, yeah, just over a month, he'll be ready. So it's
Just
coming up on
thinking.
that time. Yeah.
Just
Oh,
thinking.
Astro Rocket. Hey, welcome back, man. He said back here for the first time in a while. I see they're on that old bullshit complaining about what a bunch of people we don't care about think of the story rather than just discussing the story itself. Very much so. Rather than discussing what actually needs to be discussed, we discussing nonsense. Listen, for the last time, this is not the final arc. It was not announced as the final arc. It's not ending no time soon. Or of course, she literally said I got plans for a bunch of non-obvious side characters. Like literally,
Hold on.
Shinso and Monoma got brought up.
Yeah. Okay. So my other thing is that there. Okay. For what reason do people decide that nothing is going to happen to eventually bring the students back into the story? That's the part that
I
I
think
think
it's a
people
matter of them not even knowing how to do that organically. Like they themselves don't know how they would do it to where it feels good, it feels natural.
Because my thing has always been that I don't see all these pro heroes and Deku succeeding and all this stuff. They've been rushing through things. They keep thinking they like. The other thing is that I become even more wary of things like, oh, Shigaraki's body, like that's definitely what All For One's going to do, especially because they keep being wrong about what All For One is doing, where they are very unreliable in knowing what he is going to do or how he is trying to approach this. And the reality is that people, like, to a certain degree, I understand like the why would All For One expect like blow her up just to have her not die, but like the real answer is, I think, would be that he expected her to at least somewhat like he blew her up like the same way that people who got blown up by Curious didn't get murdered instantly. Remember that? So this has already been established that you can like blow people up from within without killing them completely within my hero. That's just the thing here. That's part of the verse. I don't know what to tell you. But doing that, because the idea is that Deku, who has the quirk of one for all, if he can handle blows from All Might, if he can handle explosions from Bakugo, because we've seen him be exploded by Bakugo canonically, then some of these bombs, some of these explosions and stuff, realistically, he should pass the durability check. So it's not that crazy to be like, a dude who has been exploded before will handle an explosion, especially when he's also got danger sense. So I don't know. I think that it's not unreasonable to expect Deku not to fold. I do think also he's kind of been at the practice of doing stuff like this for a while. So it's all supposed to be a trap, but like whether or not she actually gets to live through it or not, who knows?
I mean, I'm cool with either one, either way. I mean, I'd prefer her being alive, but I'm cool with any, to To be
Yeah,
honest,
because you said it would be good for her to rebuild the commission. I
and provide more dialogue with Hawks. Because I guess as of now, with like everyone else being hospitalized, the only one who can actually give us real insight and scale to these operations are these two, and they're very apprehensive about sharing their past with like non heroes, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'd love to learn, like, for example, like how long has the commission's been doing this? Like maybe like if there's like a how many agents are there? Like not a specific number, but like more than 100, more than something like that. I just like some extra information that helps me visualize the government more. A little extra auxiliary facts, you know.
yeah. Also, I'm like looking at the raid team, and this is they are really lean on heroes when you think of, like look at this. Like
Yeah, I told you they down bad, bro.
because like if you just like compare this strike force to even Camino, and we get Edshot, we get Mount Lady and Common Woods, we get Team Lurkers and the
Where
big
is
three.
Mirko? Where is Mirko?
We got Lurkers in the big three, and two of the big three aren't combatants.
For an all for one level raid. That's
And
wow.
and think about the fact that like two of the big three aren't real combatants because Genus says be cautious. So he wasn't going in. And Hawks also says good luck in there, everyone, because he is still not combat ready with those wings.
Yeah, it's more like a Luigi high jump than flying.
So really you have Endeavor and Team Lurkers with Deku going in to raid an all for one base.
I don't know.
Which can have God knows how many elite Tartarus villains and all for one himself.
Nah, you know what? And that's the thing. We've been talking. What if these niggas get ambushed right after the explosion?
Oh,
That's what I was expecting. Literally, that was what I was expecting.
I'd like to mention something here. Audrey, on Twitter said the Twitter for next week BNHA chapter 317 is the final act is in full swing now. What exactly is the formidable foe that appears before Deku? This is what Audrey
They
said.
just want their characters from the movie to be canon. Like
Look, Chimera's the one villain I'd be happy with. I'd welcome being canon. That design is too raw to stay non-canon.
I don't know what you're talking about, literally.
You don't know? Okay, so go back. Okay, so what I'm referring to is, go back to page.
Yeah. I know that you're talking about the people like we see their shadows. But
Yeah, and then we see we see one with kind of these locks for hair.
Yeah.
And I thought, and that looks very close to Chimera, and I think we're getting him reintroduced into the canon manga, and I'm glad it's him because he was easily the best villain in the movies.
Facts. But who's the other villain that you said you said the name? I forgot his name.
Oh, it's the one that looks like the hash slinging slasher. So right next to All for One, look to your right. There's gonna be a very small man, and his eyes are like a whole foot away from like the top of his head.
Yeah.
Like Tom, I think it was Tom on Twitter, posted that the dude looks like the hash slinging slasher.
Daniel, to answer your question, Japan operates most of the world operates off heroes. The military is a fucking joke because they can't even use their quirks based on limitations. So those niggas you seen muscular folding, and niggas they just pick up the scraps, bro. They don't do the actual fighting. They're not competent. They're a fucking joke. Like even Alma was like, yeah, get laughed at, but it's a decent profession. It's respectable. No, it's not. It's a fucking joke. They can't use their quirk. They're using pea shooters. And then what you gonna do with a nigga like Muscular pull up? If a nigga like Shindo can't take down Muscular, only assistant Aiden to help take him down. And he got a raw quirk. What the fuck make you think I'm gonna do with a fucking pea shooter? Are you out your goddamn mind? Bob,
Well,
I
to
wouldn't
be
be in that
fair-
military at all. Y'all can suck a dick, man.
Well,
Bro, they military don't matter. The prisoners will. Let me put it to you like this: a team full of niggas like Moonfish, Dobby, and Muscular, it's like a bunch of those niggas on that tier level running around, and I got a fucking pistol. Do you think I'm gonna make a difference? The military ain't shit. The military ain't shit. They a bunch of jokes, clowns, and I would never be a part of it, ever.
Muscular, you're trying
Ever.
to shoot to Muscular with some guns or with the tank even. That nigga's
Bro.
gonna destroy the tank, man.
Bro, you already see.
I'm gonna just point out that the dude's guardian's Tartarus had 8 arms, and all they really did was pull out guns.
And get folded.
You get it full.
I mean, hey, if that army of robots and that facility located underwater was enough to keep some of the most dangerous guys down, I could see how they can build that delusion.
And I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mhm.
People are like, well, with no militaries, how does war work? Who got time to go to war when most of the countries have 20% crime rates or higher?
Yep.
Like,
That shit probably, bro.
like you can't afford to be trying to go to war with somebody, invade somebody.
Prim.
Dude,
Yeah.
like, dude.
The mafias, the yakuza, even the no. Well, I was thinking about like the underworld, like the mafias, but no, the mafias is gone in Japan. Like the yakuzas are done in Japan because of the villains. Do you think that we will have the same kind of thing here in USA and Europe, like in the West? That all the gang stuff, and not the gangs. Gang will be stayed. Just gangs will have just quirks in place of guns. Oh,
Listen,
man.
man. Listen.
Oh, bro.
That
Yeah.
if I was in the commission, I don't care. I was an officer. I don't care. I was a regular nigga. I'm gonna pull up on one of the board meetings when niggas talking. I'm like, bust through the door, and I'm like, who are you? I'm like, I'm the nigga that's finna set y'all straight. I'm gonna start telling them, look at this shit right here. I'm gonna pull up videos of fucking like the water hose people getting fucking slaughtered by muscle. I'm like, you see this, right? These are people with top tier quirks, or at least mid tier quirks that are really good. Now, you think I could beat them in a fight with a pistol? No. So how the fuck I'm supposed to beat a raging monster psychopath with a pistol? I swear to God, that's like you want me to shoot Goku in his face? What the fuck is that gonna do? That's what it looked like. Me pulling up the Goku with a pistol. That's what it looked like. Me going to fight these niggas with a gun.
You're gonna get to a quick battle.
What I look like? What I look like going to fight Brock Lesnar?
I kind of remember that scene with back in Invincible, episode 5, where like it's a Titan episode,
Oh,
and
yeah,
he's
the
like
Titan
raiding
battle
that
beast.
like gang base,
Yeah,
and he shoots
tech
him,
face.
and it deflects and it hits him back in the head.
That's exactly what happened, bro. I'll be over there looking like Mark from Invincible when Battle Beast beat the fuck out of his ass.
Or every episode.
Oh God! Then you probably have Endeavor stand up there like Omni Man like this. Pathetic.
Oh, but
Watch me getting my ass beaten to the ground while this fucking 10-foot tall muscle ass nigga beating my man. You got me fucked up. I'll tell you that much. Heroes dying in the street with their quirk, and you think I'll be out with a pistol? Who?
I mean, if the dude doesn't have a durability quirk or a speed quirk or really anything physical, I could see how you can win.
Yeah, bro. But I fight 10 different villains a day. Do you know the fucking randomized lucky draw I'm gonna have to pull to not get my ass shot or killed?
Like you run into one guy with a durability quirk and it's like over. It's over. You just put your gun down, you just run.
Oh man, that's really the thing about just some people don't really understand what the world in My Hero Academia really is like. It is a world like Shigaraki said it in the right way when he met Deku at the mall. You don't know, but everybody he is here around us has a loaded gun on themselves.
Yep.
If somebody just go crazy, he can kill. It can be a tragedy. He was talking about his life. You know what happened in his life, literally. Having a quirk is like having a loaded gun, like potentially. If you have an offensive quirk, you can see it as a loaded gun. But just thinking about this is scary. It's living. You understand why the rules that you can use your quirk if you don't have like a permission to use it, but still living in that world as just taking you as a person living in that world. If you just mess with the wrong dude, he can knock your ass off. We just
Well, the thing that you also got to remember is that like
Mhm.
Junpeis exist. So like now on top of that, anytime you see somebody bully, you got to be like, damn, are they going to Junpei me with their quirk?
Exactly.
So like, I have
The
a
school
question.
shootings, the
Hold on,
school shootings in USA, the My Hero Academia world, bro.
I'm just thinking like, how bad is the road rage in America in My Hero?
Damn.
Oh God.
Because like road rage right now, like in the real world, whew,
The other day, I saw something about someone getting shot over road rage.
Boy,
oh, it
you
happens
got
all the
me.
time.
Boy, you
Oh,
got me
that happens
fucked
all the
up.
time in California.
Yeah, you got me all the way fucked up. You think I'm finna get shot because you don't know how to drive? Boy, you lost your fucking mind. I hit you with my damn car, and I won't think I sleep like a baby at night. You think I give a fuck that I kill somebody? No, I'll run your ass over 3 times over, front, back, front, and then I'm gonna run your ass over again for pointing that gun at me like you lost your damn mind. Nah, listen. I mean, it makes sense why people can't use their quirks
Mhm.
in general,
Dude,
but the
me
fact
shouldn't
that
be involved with my
and
fur.
I understand like the police to a certain degree. I understand the police not being able to use their quirk, but at the same time, it's still kind of fucking stupid, dog.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you should have had like you could at least like, all right, if we're gonna put the police as your basic everyday people, at least have like a SWAT team based off they be able to use their quirks and they're trained like what I'm
And they
saying.
ain't complete trash.
Yeah,
Like the quirks aren't
like
That's
useless.
the thing. That's the thing that I'm really thinking about. That them really had like Horikoshi didn't think.
Well, hold on, because there is, if you remember Vigilantes during the Aizawa and Fat Gum team up,
got you.
Mhm.
they have the crab girl that Fat Gum ends up tossing. Oh,
Yeah.
Nadir Moad with the super chat. Nah, I'm just thinking of 285 in the My Hero world. Nah, screw that. Yeah, yeah,
Wait,
um,
285 in the My Hero world?
yeah.
Isn't that the one where Bakugo gets stabbed?
I mean, think about everything that was going on though.
Everything that was involved in that shit.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh,
Oh yeah, that's just down bad. That's down atrocious.
yeah. So like he throws the cop and she like uses her quirk to cut through like a car or something, and she's like, I'll just have to file paperwork. So like you can get permission to use your quirk, or like basically it just gets put under investigation as whether or not your quirk was actually necessary in the scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's it? I think it was somebody. Somebody said. I'm trying to see who the fuck said that shit so I can give them a shout out. Someone was talking about how, yeah, there you go. I can't believe you done this. Talking about how like just look at the damage that civilians did fighting those weak villains. Yeah, the Cider House niggas, they don't blew away a goddamn almost a block fighting with the heroes and fucking Cider House going at each other. I mean, the civilians and Cider House going at each other. That's them niggas. That's them niggas long. Imagine being a regular nigga with a gun telling people to freeze. If like that, yeah, the Cider House might be a joke because they get folded twice. But if you really think about it, the niggas can fold niggas with no. Basically, you police officer, you basically got no quirk. You might as well be quirkless.
Just the fact that you know that the people have access to the weapons of Deterrent, and people about the last episode, you see how the weapons works, bruh. Oh man, just right now, My Hero Academia, the world is collapsing, nigga. You can die. You can die just by walking. You can think about walking your dog outside right now. In Japan, right, in My Hero
Fucking walk,
Academia.
Hey,
like
yo,
walking the
not
dog
shout
and
out to
have walk,
Nadir.
just
Shout
run.
out, shout out to Nadir super chat. I mean Highway 285 in Atlanta. My bad. Yeah. I get to speak on that one. Boy, you got me fucked up, boy. Nigga. Boy, them motherfuckers. You know I be driving my fucking godson dad. That nigga be about to shoot people half the damn time. If he had his gun in his car. Nah, hell no. And my entire crew got rolled. And them niggas be some of them niggas got guns, but they don't always have them. They about to shoot people too. Man, they got me fucked up. Oh, all right. So I'm taking the reins on this one because Anarchy has departed very briefly.
Mm-hmm. It's no problem. So let's talk about.
It's my stream, nigga. Shut up. I'm just playing. I'm just fucking. You go ahead and speak.
Okay.
You go ahead and speak, brother.
I wanted to say just people. We are like with 93 people. We were like about 100. Like the stream. Just you cannot like the stream. If you don't want, there's no problem. Like the stream. Show your love. Thank you for the support for Anarchy.
Yeah,
And next to this, just thinking about your tweet that you made, like we're gonna talk about it right now, or are we gonna you know what? I'm gonna put the tweet here and I'm gonna ask people to answer the question about Deku versus the Nomu.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Man, I was
basically we got a test for y'all to see your intelligence level.
I'm telling you, I read the quoted tweets, retweets. Man, damn, bro. Oh.
Before you ask that, let me address this real quick. We got a super chat from R Blast. Thank you, R Blast. Well, this is so unrelated to the chapter, but do speed like quirks need a license to run on the street? Yeah, bro. It's stay like in vigilantes. Koichi not supposed to be breaking the law. He's not supposed to be using your quirk in any capacity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would be doing that shit. I don't give a fuck. They can suck my dick, but like, that's what you're doing.
Facts, though.
Niggas can eat my ass. Unless you a racerhead. Fuck you.
Oh, bro. Oh, man. That would be so fun. I can't. The chaos that it will be like in Africa. Oh, bro, with quirks. Damn, bro. I can't imagine what fucked up stuff can be. Because right now, My Hero Academia is like, you just have to think it is based on our world and quirks happen. So the technology didn't advance like the cars, stuff like this didn't advance like that much, you know.
But they got holograms though. That's cool.
That's cool. Facts.
Cool. Right, so
but,
go ahead and start. You go ahead and test the kids out. Let's see who passed the test and who don't.
Oh, let's go. I'm gonna put it in the chat, guys. People that have Twitter, I'm gonna put a link in the chat. Please, tweet about it, retweet, or just.
Or you could just comment your answer in here.
Yeah, or comment your answer. So the thing, Banzo can't tell me what to do. What did I say?
Now Watkins, you take that WWE champion belt that you got on your wall, you put it on, and you go to Twitter and you retweet this link and answer the question.
So the tweet that I put on the screen is more like, I would like to know your opinions about Deku versus the UAJ Nomu. Do you think that what do you think it will be? High diff, mid diff, low diff, and who would win?
He's getting dog walked.
USJ Nomu? Yeah, you're right. Deku the GOAT. Deku the guy. He the MC. He can't lose.
He can lose.
He getting dog walked. It's that simple.
Yeah, you said USJ Nomu getting dog walked. Deku the MC, bro. He can't lose.
He can lose.
He has a multitude of quirks, bro. He can't lose.
Yeah, he can lose. I can't say it with a straight face, bro. I can't say that with a straight face, bro.
Hold on. Listen, King of Lightning, okay? It's clear you haven't been reading the story as well as I thought you have. And that was already pretty low.
Yo, that's the joke's on you to even assume I would even read in the first place.
That's the thing about it.
There's a difference between reading and just like looking at words and images. You gotta connect to them under like a through line.
I know y'all don't care about meathead fights, but this is something I like to point out. It's what we call regency bias. Because of this current fight, people will still overgas Deku and think he's really top 5 in a verse. That, like I keep saying, that Nagant fight, he had a lot easier because she was shooting at him for long range. Okay, he had time to prep, try to dodge out. But if she wanted that nigga dead, he would have actually been dead. It was like she was toying with him, talking to this nigga, trying to take him alive. But if she the one that sniped that nigga in the back of the head, he would have been done already a couple of times over, bro. Like, I'm trying to tell y'all.
If she just shot at the arm or like the leg or literally anywhere except the phone, exactly. Like this would be, game over, done deal. Like you were not moving.
Bro, you do realize y'all want to take into account the Fa Gen shit, right? You
Yeah.
do realize he has to charge that up, like actually squat down, charge that power up. He will
Gotta
only have
squat,
probably
gotta
like
do
one or
push-ups.
he probably don't have like one or two jumps for 5 gen. After that shit is out, the USJ no moves back on his ass again to beat that nigga ass. He gonna be trying to run. Smoke screen gonna matter. Black Whip not holding that fucking monster back. You do forget that it took All Might over 300 punches to take this, just to blow this nigga away, and that was All Might using 100 more than 100% at every blow.
And then you got, and then you listen. This is how USJ is gonna go. Nah, Chris Handsome. I'm gonna call you Chris Handsome. And now we can do this the easy way or the hard way. Choice is yours. And Deku's gonna choose the
Anish,
hard way and get stomped out.
Anish, come up street, come up on the street. You have to say that yourself, man. You have to say that yourself, brother. Look at this. What he said in the chat. I'm dead. Tony just killed me.
Hey, hold on. Yo, what did he say? What did he say?
USJ Noble is breaking Deku like Lay's chips.
Oh, listen, he's gonna be cracking him like a Dorito.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Oh, hello.
Hey, yo. My boy
Shisui.
Shisui is
Yeah,
here.
welcome
Oh,
Shisui to the
man.
What's
chat.
going on?
Oh, what's up, bro?
All right, my boy Shisui. How have you been feeling about
Got
today's
an extra
chapter?
100 views.
Dude, I've been feeling good, man.
Like, I saw you was in the chat earlier. So I know you felt some kind of way about these pacing conversations and stuff.
100%.
But also, I know you felt some kind of way about what Awful One had to say.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's Lord and Savior.
This is honestly, guys, since 297, I was talking about this with East. This guy, Horikoshi's been on some extra shit. And just like the level of consistency from I seen delivered each week and how he's handled everything, how he's executed everything, as far as like, way back in the hospital all the way up to now with Lady Nagant, like everything has just been so smooth, so consistent. And it just makes a lot of sense for me that we've been getting this major character focus like surrounding Midoriya and then like rippled off from like with Hawks and and so on. So for me, like this has been just really, really great. And Hori's just been in his bag. And you talked about earlier, I think the thing that you said that I kind of tweeted off you that I really, really liked as far as like human behavior and just how like AFO has just seen a lot of idealism from like different types of heroes for so long. And it's like, it makes sense. He's seen, society change throughout the years and whatnot, and like how they've adapted and responded to threats like this. And he's learned so much. So it just, for me, like, as far as like whatever the opposite of suspension of disbelief is, like that's what that's what is happening here, because everything it lines up. And the pacing, you guys were talking about pacing earlier.
Mhm.
The pacing, listen guys, it is on point. Like the level of continuity he's having as far as like everything coming into fruition now and just happening in this time and place. And I talked about this like with the whole thing with Lady Nagant, like that stuff, that chapter like alone just was so good. Just those stretch of chapters with Midoriya and Lady Nagant, like my head is moving a mile like 50 miles per minute because I'm trying to get my thoughts all out. But specifically talking about those stretch of chapters, it's like we got the information. We not only got the information we wanted through like a character like that, and I was talking about how, like I was talking earlier about how Lady Nagant was like crucial to the story in that way, but it's like it also ties into Hawks. It also ties into like just so many different things. And so, for people who wanted focus as far as like getting that Midoriya focus, it's happening here now. So I don't really see any of the complaints. As far as like what's going to happen in the future, you got to trust that process. Like Hori's delivered pretty much everything we've wanted. And specifically since, like I said, since 297, I'm really just, my faith in Hori has shot up tremendously for seeing what he's been able to do and how he's been able to handle all of these like moving parts. And I've always wanted this, like I said, this major character focus for Midoriya. And, and then of course, like this chapter really just tied it together. And it's because of this chapter and like what I'm seeing lately, because I'm not a type of person that just reacts immediately. And, if I get 2-3 chapters, I've seen certain jump writers, I'm not going to say who, fail before and not deliver on this.
Mashima,
But
Mashima don't miss. Mashima
Moto.
don't miss.
yeah, Mashima don't miss, man. Come on. No, but
Boob
yeah, so
shots.
and I understand where people are coming from. I understand the concerns people might have. I don't know how far back you guys started My Hero Academia. I'm speaking exclusively to the chat. It's different areas, different. You guys all began in different places, right? So for those of you guys who've been in the beginning, right? you know. And so maybe for some of you newer guys, I don't know, you're just kind of feeling it out, whatever the case may be. The thing is, I'm a type of person, I don't react immediately. Aniki knows this, East knows this. Like, you give me a few chapters, like I can see the direction of where you're going and seeing how you approach it. It might be something I like, it might be something I'm fucking with, but ultimately, like, that's not enough for me to be like, okay, I'm sold totally on the idea of this guy knows how to handle his shit. And for me to come in here in this stream and like speak to you guys like this, like I'm telling you, that's how you know this guy is like, he's being consistent. That's how you know, like, as an outside perspective, it's like this guy, I read a shit ton of series. um and so and My Hero is like toe to toe is he's going with that. I'm also reading Golden Kamuy. If you guys also read that shit, you guys know that they've been having consistent chapters. Noda hasn't missed either. And so, like, the fact that like My Hero's in that realm of like my favorites, and just like he's been delivering consistently, hasn't missed since 2007, like I said, like it really speaks volumes on that. So yeah, I really really appreciate just seeing AFO and this chapter. And this was the chapter that kind of like sealed the deal for me and just made me realize like I fully trust this guy. And I've been saying this to East like the past couple of weeks, but it's like it's getting further and further and further to the point where like I have so much faith in them, because when I thought about like last chapter, I was like, okay, like either Lady Nagant's gonna die, or like and then I thought about like, wait a minute, would it really make sense for her character to die? And I thought about the reasons like why he would keep her alive and everything. And it just like here, it just like the whole conversation with Hawks, like this is exactly what I was predicting with East like last week. And it came like right, you know what I mean? So I just knew. And then I was like, you know what? Like maybe AFO just like thought about this too. Like maybe this was like something he already like even like calculated as far as like this being an outcome. And like you saw how comfortable AFO was. He left a message from Midoriya and was like, if you're hearing this, that means like he already accounted for these things. Like, so that means like he's been so comfortable with like he's been so like in the bag as far as like him plotting whatever he is, whatever he's been doing. So, and like I said on the timeline, he's had an ample amount of time to plot this out, you know, given his background and given who he is and what he's had to deal with over the years, and especially like his time in Tartarus, and especially like considering that the heroes this whole time have been on the defense. This whole time they've just been reacting to what this guy has been doing. Like that's what I find so fucking crazy, is that this whole time, like they're just like, you see Midoriya like in the street, like you see them winning, but they're not really like, all of that is just a part of what like this man has had planned. Like they got to the house and he was just like, yeah, I got some more people waiting for you. Like this is all then a plan. And the thing is like Shigaraki's not even moving. That's the thing. Like, and you can say like, okay, yeah, we don't know what Class A is doing, XYZ. Like we don't know what they're doing. Like, you know, they're training whatever, but it doesn't even matter. Because like when Shigaraki, like I'm telling you, they're not going to win. Like this, when Shigaraki's on the, on the field, like they're not going to win. Like when he's engaged, like there's no way. Like they're taking this loss.
For people to think that when he wakes up, he's just gonna let the heroes go. You
Yeah, like
you legit
like,
smoking crack pipe.
Everything you guys wanted, like
it ain't
you're
even
gonna
just a
get.
pipe.
As
It's
far as
like
like the
you
thing with
take it in
Midnight,
the
as far as
hands.
like the thing with like we want to see like what's going on with the consequence, how they're dealing with death. All of that is like there's a time and place for this, man. Like I said about continuity, it's like it makes sense that we're getting Midoriya's focus now. We need this. Right, we need to know like what's happening. Otherwise, if we were getting focused, if we were going back and forth, you guys would be complaining about like, well, what is AFO up to? You know what I'm saying? So like, it just, there's always like, you got to trust the process, man. Like he hasn't given us a reason for us to be like, okay, this doesn't feel, I don't feel comfortable with this. There's something off. None of that. Like, and as far as like pacing goes, and I've seen people mention like fights and whatnot, like saying like, well, he's been giving us fights and what, like fights does not equate to like quick pacing. Like you could have like like all the fights you want on screen, and the shit can still be like boring as fuck. Like X series already does that. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to mention it, but it's like that's something that already happens. Like that doesn't equate to pacing. Like you know what I mean? So as far as like giving it's the timing of how you give us like exactly, you know, the information that we need as far as like exposition, as far as like all those other stuff that we need. And so like the fights is a bonus, and that's something that, like, you know, we're gifted given the fact of what the series is, but it's like there is like a lot more important shit that we need to pay attention to, and I feel like that Horikoshi is addressing that phenomenally. And I think there, like I said, there hasn't been a single reason for me to like doubt this man at all
Yes.
whatsoever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see,
Hold up. Because there's something that I wanted to add into. Because you mentioned that whole if we were bouncing in between thing.
Mhm.
If we were doing that, I think a lot of people aren't factoring in that whatever is happening with the students is also going to have a focus on bureaucracy and like human to like hero to civilian interaction. So a lot of what two-way is going through, because it wouldn't make sense to just like pop over to, yeah, the kids live in a giant shelter compound without also addressing how that's impacted their life.
Exactly.
So a lot of that's going to be like bureaucratic, like weird, like discussions like that.
It's gonna be red
Not
tape.
so it's not so it's like you don't want what's going on with this being intercut with random updates
Exactly.
on
Exactly. It's set up and
the water
payoff.
rationing, like at
Exactly.
UA.
It's literally set up and payoff. It's like, and you know, I talked about it earlier, like I said, the timing, but it's like it's being delivered now for a reason. Like, and you know, it's just how, and this is really like Nagant was the one that was the thing that solidified it for me. That was the thing that I was like, okay, this guy, I can't doubt him anymore. I can't doubt him. He's smiling. Look at he's smiling because this is exactly what he wanted to hear from me. Man. This is exactly what he wanted to hear from me. And I know Issa's smiling behind the mic too, man. Crazy, bro. Look at these two guys. No, but
You can
listen,
literally
like
just smell
this
the
thing with
happiness.
Nagant is exact. Like that was the like ultimate. That was the thing that made me like for sure know that we're getting exactly like this guy has this part two or whatever we transitioned to as far as like what happened after that like setup we got from the last arc. It's been like really, really, really good, man. Like it's really, really good. So, yeah, and just the way he handled Nagant, bro. Like any other jump rider would have fumbled that. Like this guy, man. Like, ah, man, that was just.
I'm just gonna tell them like I always tell these niggas. Listen, back at 297,
Yes, sir.
there's a whole reason we didn't see everything that went into play.
Yes, sir.
Because literally, I can literally go back why we didn't see everything at 297. It was after in 298. It literally would have spoiled Nagant pulling up, what she's doing, her and Deku leaving UA, like all that shit just fucking got spoiled, bro. Like, and there's more shit to come even off of that. And then they hype up what the villain's gonna look like again. Like, yeah, niggas pulling out Tartarus with some prison suits, kind of cool. But Nagant, y'all wasn't fiending over Nagant until she pulled up with the biddies out, with the
Yeah, no,
damn
facts,
skirt,
100%.
with the
Yeah.
fucking
Now, people
elbow
paid
rifle.
attention. People were like,
That's-
"Who
that's
is that?"
the- yeah,
but then the
but
suit,
no,
yeah, the
that's
biddies
my
was
thing.
like,
That, you know, Horikoshi's key factor is character designs. These niggas coming out Tartars are some of them are taller than Off One, and that nigga built like an NFL linebacker. Like some of these niggas coming out the paint are going to be with their full drip, full customization. Like I keep saying, when you see somebody fully put together, that's them. If somebody wears a uniform in school, you don't get the full impression of who they are. Like if I see Anaki in his, let's say Anaki works at a business office, right? And he got a full suit on. Of course, as he works as a businessman, that's just what the front he puts on that work. But if I see this nigga at the bar at night and he with his girl and she dressed down to like a dime bag, and then he got the fucking leather coat on with the Versace inside, with the fucking wristwatch, little ice on his neck, with the fucking ring fingers and some fucking like boots on. I'm like, yo, the fuck is that the same nigga from work? That's what you have to wear. Like they're gonna personality shine through. I need to get this by character design. Y'all so impatient, but you need to realize when the full package comes together, that's when it comes together. Nagant was the prime example. Like I was telling y'all, when them niggas come, you gonna be like, oh. Plus with new quirks on top of the quirks they already got, y'all gonna be like, oh shit, yo, Horikoshi, I'm sorry, bro. I should have just sat the fuck down and waited.
like,
That's all you gotta do.
You know, Hori's like, just like real quick, you know, Hori knows what like he's doing. This motherfucker, like, I don't know if you, I mean, you guys definitely know, but it's like that callback, that little, like, small little callback to like chapter 299 with the whole Endeavor thing. and like the toy, like come on, fam. Like every chapter since the prison break, since the hospital, since we got like the flashback with Hawk, since we got like Todoroki and his family, the moment with like all of that, like you not come on, man. Like everything has been consistent.
And cohesive, so
Cohesive. The continuity is it's too smooth, man. Like it's too smooth. Maybe you guys need something big to happen. Maybe it's like people are looking for like some like I don't know.
So here's the thing, right? Like when I think about like the doll and stuff like that callback, because I've even seen people say that this mistrust of heroes and stuff wasn't built up, and I was like, huh?
Who the? Yeah, I got it. I ain't gonna speak.
And so it's like I've seen some really wild, like are they like the capitalistic aspects of My Hero like weren't, and I'm like, bro, All Might has his own self as his ringtones, like. We see All Might with his own ringtones. We see All Might merchandise all over Deku's floor.
Most volumes end with advertisement for an in-universe brand a hero is responsible
and
for.
we know that Endeavor, even while still like being allegedly unpopular, has its own coffee brand. Like
brand is operating a whole Starbucks.
Honestly, what other ongoing like? There are not many ongoing series that have this level of consistency. Like I need people to understand. Like this is just.
And to address like the way fandom culture works, you bring in Can't You See Kid, have him become like a viral sensation, then have like come back to him like as he sees the thing that like made him famous is crumbling, like just to like have like a further impact on the way like celebrities impact and can elevate and destroy and like move and like inspire and change people's lives just by like proximity.
You know, Twitter canceled that kid 100%, man. Yeah. That's the saddest part.
Like there's all these different angles being addressed. That's part of why, like when I said like that shelter stuff, like you can't tack that into here because the angles they each need their own space as plots to breathe.
Exactly,
they
man.
Need space to breathe. Yes, 100%.
It's just like look at what we got. Maybe people need to go back and read from 297, man. Like,
you know what? I got something.
That little stretch. Look how much we got with the Dobby thing. Like, come on, guys. Like, this is ridiculous.
I got something for these niggas. Ridiculous. I got something.
We are not reading the same series.
Y'all are greedy. I want y'all to know that. Y'all are greedy because I guarantee you, I've seen this before. Horikoshi can't give y'all one thing without y'all wanting everything. He give you Deku. Y'all niggas complain about that. Well, Deku ain't really been the main focus. Just like, okay, Horikoshi's like, all right, you know what? I'm flush out the side cast, build all this stuff up. Now let me focus on Deku. Okay, well, why can't we have two? I bet you gave you a chapter of Momo, the main Momo, and let's say who the main primary people that Midnight.
Kirishima and Mina.
Kirishima and Mina. Y'all have been like, okay, well, what about Kaminari? And what about Kaminari? Okay, well, how Tokyo feel about Hawks? All right. Well, I want a chapter how Mineta developed from here.
Exactly.
All right, I want a chapter about. Well, I want a chapter how Todoroki doing his family. Okay. Well, how about Bakugo in this? Well, you know what? How does Ida round up the whole? Like, I guarantee you give you niggas a fucking inch or take a goddamn.
Motherfuckers talking about this like we watching the Justice League, like some episodic shit. Like
I seen it time.
Like tune in next week. Like the fuck.
Like bro, I seen it time and time again. If he give y'all 1 inch, y'all will ask for a fucking mile. I promise you. He can't please y'all. No matter what he do, y'all niggas always want more. Always want shit.
Hold on, East. I want to break that down real quick because you're right about that. There is a certain,
you see it right.
There's especially because people over the like I've seen a lot of Deku hasn't been really like the main focus. Like I've seen that a lot, especially since MVA. Like around the time of like Pro Hero arc, it was like okay, like we didn't have Deku. Then it was like joint training and like Deku, especially like in the week to week experience, was not a central focus. Like we've done a good job in the anime of like making sure that Deku's opinion on those scenes are direct.
Where he not that.
So that like it feels like you know that he's there. But like Deku wasn't that important for the joint training arc outside of like round 5 stuff. And that's really like outside of those moments, like specifically like tying around One for All, Deku didn't matter. Like rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4 were all about other characters having their own narrative arc fulfilled and progressed, etc. And then you had MVA, which like all the kids got thrown away. And then Endeavor Agency ended up being a plot that while Deku was there, it ended up centering more on the Todoroki family. So he was more like a B character in the B like the B like in the B plot like of that series. So it's like
I'd say the
By the war arc,
protagonist of
hold on,
Sorry, I'm sorry.
because the war arc, Dabi and Shigaraki are basically the protagonists for like the first 10 minutes, or like you look at like Endeavor and like Dabi specifically as the two main like leads of the show. Up on the hero side for like the entire raid of the hospital, and when you cut over to the mansion, it kind of centers on like it ends up being like the Hawks and Twice dynamic, and then boom, Dabi's on the scene, and then we're focusing on Dabi, and then Dabi gets to Makia, and then once Dabi's on Makia, that's when Makia starts traveling, and Dabi's perspectives, like we keep centering on Dabi, and then finally, like around I believe it's like 274, 275 is where Deku finally like starts coming center stage, because that's when the transcendent one thing happens. And like all that, you know, and then even then it's like, yeah, Deku has that reaction, but then we cut back to Endeavor versus Shigaraki and Shigaraki's journey to Deku. And then like, yeah, we're getting like some of the Deku perspective as they're like thinking, and like Bakugo's thinking, but it's like Shigaraki's on his way to Deku. Okay, Shigaraki has to get through these heroes to get to Deku. Shigaraki's going to have to escape because he's taken too much damage in this conflict, and Deku's been like a wall for him. Even to the degree where Deku's the one, like during their fight, painted as like the more terrifying one, with blood on his face and feral, like with like saliva and tears.
And Deku's talking about like, the Shigaraki's like, yeah, I got to remember my dream, my origin. Like,
and like he's like, one for all is a power made to crush your dream, nigga. Fuck you mean? Out here trying to sleep, no pillowcase.
and can we talk about how well he navigated as far as like Midoriya's placement within that arc, and not making him feel like it's like the reason he's like not the center of attention is because like he's not there yet, and so like if we're talking about these chapters, it's like this is how he's getting there, but it's like rewind it back. It's like it makes sense that you don't, because people would have been complaining about like how's Midoriya on toe with Shigaraki? You know what I'm saying? Like people would have had so many complaints, but he handled it in a way that like we didn't get like his full focus, but we got enough of like development for Dabi, not enough for like other things that he set up from before that made sense that we wanted. The whole thing with Dabi and Endeavor, like, you know, it's like Gina's coming back, like all of that, like Hawks, there's so many plot like things honestly that worked because he developed like other stuff on this. Like, so that's why
honestly, is every time I seem to look back at the shit and I just look at the war, I honestly astonished he don't get enough credit by how fucking fluidly he used every piece. That's in that goddamn war. Like that shit is flawlessly, bro. Like you can't use, the only thing I can ever even slightly hear y'all complaints about is like maybe the end, but in a binge, nobody cares about the stuff at the end. It was only y'all people week to week that had an issue. Everybody that binges has no issue with Muriel and Compress, and those things had to happen now, because when the fuck would they have brought Muriel back later on? Like during aftermath, that shit wouldn't have worked, and Compress had to do what he had to do in order to help them escape at that point in time. So those things needed to happen right then and there. It's like every character placed at every point. It's literally like I'm trying to figure out how he wrote this out, because it had to be like a mapped out board, because you can't just write this from your brain, bro. Like,
yes, sir. Listen. Can I ask y'all a question here? Listen, guys, like this is rhetorical, but like you got how many major characters would you say? Like, all right, not major, but how many characters do you think like where he's developing plots, like even minor plots for? Like how many would you say, like, bro, in your head? Like
over 20, bro, at least.
It's so you got 20 different characters he's developing, doing, you know, fleshing out, tying back within, like, while he simultaneously has to do like the arc focus, while he simultaneously has to do like all of these all of that, like arc to arc, and it's like, you guys want what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you guys want what? Like it doesn't make sense to me, man. It don't make sense.
Like, bro, he got all the plans for all the characters when they show up, when they do.
He really doing the most.
Like when they come, they're gonna come, right? Everybody gonna have their time and they place to do what they need to do.
What we're talking about, like, I understand we're fans, we're gonna criticize whatever it is, what it is, but it's like at the end of the day, you got to realize what this man is doing, man. Like this guy is moving, you know, 100 characters on screen, and it's just like. And people are we're complaining about the smallest details. Like this guy,
bro, shit that be baffling me, bro. I'm like, all right,
because
like
in a couple of weeks, most of that shit doesn't even matter. Like, on God, most of the complaints I've seen, they don't matter, bro. Like,
here's something that I find fascinating, that especially as like a My Hero centered content creator, I'm going to point this out, that like when I sit there and I like randomly like oh, I wonder if that character could have a video. There's always characters that I'm like, no, I think I could actually get at least 10 minutes out of that. And I'm like, oh, Tetsu, discuss, like, you could probably get 10 minutes out of that. Ibara Shiozaki might only be about 8 minutes, but you could actually get a decent amount of content about how she's been executed and handled in reference to Horikoshi's writing techniques. Kendo, actually, I can get a pretty solid video out of. Tokoyami, it's like Uraraka, Momo, Jiro. Like, there's tons of characters that, like, you start listing them off, and it's like, well, no, you can actually get a competent story arc with Mount Lady now, because like, and you can like discuss that and like how that and like decompress that and compress that. Like with Kamui Woods, like you can kind of like talk about kind of what he represents within like the cultural aspects of the story. There's a lot of different characters that, because of their niche within the story, they end up fulfilling a role to such a degree that you can get these really interesting discussions. And it's partially because a lot of these characters, even if their story moments are disconnected, are all continuous points. Like Ida does have a continuously flowing arc, even being at the war arc. I ended up talking about this on anime lately. Well, part of that whole him taking a looser approach and being able to adapt was understanding that while the rules said, hey, if you're not a flying type, you need to not be near the Shigaraki zone, Ida decided, well, actually, I'm faster than most of these flying types anyway. I will stay on the evacuation zone during the Shigaraki conflict to help alleviate pressure, not get caught by the Nomu. And if I'm going to be punished for it, so be it. But that rule isn't as important as me being of assistance and maximizing the chances of the hero side victory. Understanding that defiance and not subservience and completion to the rules in that moment was healthy, and not because he was doing it to fight somebody or hunt them down like he did during the hero killer arc, but because it was the right thing to do, focusing on saving and helping keeping Bakugo alive and the other heroes safe.
That was overlooked. And I don't like how that was overlooked, because it's like those smaller moments actually do mean something in everyday life. It's like how Bakugo isn't always a dickhead all the time. You can see little moments where he's a lot more calmer, or he's like,
which I think he's the best example of that.
Yeah, he's like kind of the best example. It's like okay, old Bakugo on the bus trip going to the camp right before Camino, he'll be like, when it was like, Bakugo, you stop blowing up Deku, and he's like, and then like he's like, all right, Will McConnell's like, hey, he asked for the training, he wanted to be real. Old Bakugo's like, man, fuck you, shithead, die, like something like that. But it's just like, now it's just like, nah, he asked for it too. What y'all tripping on me for? It's like, it's a lot calmer approach. And like Aniki said with Ida, it's like that moment right before the Shirokuma stuff, he's like, yeah, I've learned. He let me handle like a team on my own. I was leading the team. He's like, yeah, I learned the looser approach too. It's like, okay, I've seen that moment. Then you see it back in the war. It's like he's got plans for everybody, just because he's moving at different things. Like I'm trying. I could list like 10 different plot lines right now, bro. Like,
oh god,
like that's coming back up later on.
Exactly,
like,
bro.
Nario and the Eri Chizaki shit. Like fucking Hawks Tokyo. Probably still have to have a talk. You got like fucking Stain coming back. Where he's going to go?
Todoroki.
Like, bro, there's so many plot lines.
Hold up. One, real quick, I'm going to hit up Cheese Peabody because we got the super chat. Love to see the TL full of Hori Goat today. Can't miss. I love it. Love to see it too.
Yes, sir.
We need to get that appreciation. But also, let's take Momo, for example, who I feel like has a more obvious plot. But like the way hers is structured is that she's going to get to find out that, yes, at some point, like, okay, Gagato Mafia was apprehended because he passed out and couldn't operate anymore. That plan worked. She's gonna know that like that sacrifice of all those pieces technically did mean something, which is gonna be instrumental in her understanding of what combat is like going forward. Momo like is stuck dealing with, and her story has always been building up to either learning how to lose, like either losing and not breaking, or like learning how to lose or facing scenarios in which it seems so hopeless, but still trying to find a way to win, even if you're winning post your life. Because if the League of Villains hadn't taken that consideration and been like, they're not worth our time, Momo and the kids probably would have died. In turn, what they are all fully aware of is, I should have died there. But what she also now gets to say is, I should have died there, but even if I had died there, my plan would have still succeeded. So Momo, and as a leader, will have that courage going forward now, where if there's ever a situation in which, okay, somebody needs to stay here to do this thing, set up this bomb, do this thing, sacrifice themselves, that's a role that Momo's character is now built to take.
Same with Red Riot.
Yeah,
he literally did that shit. He said, yo, I'm bracing through the fire. I got this. I'll throw the fucking thing. He was like, and he wasn't letting any contribution go to waste. His contender got beat. He was like, don't worry, Shido. You may have failed down there, but you really didn't fail. I still got your back and threw that shit. I was like, see that that's that boy right there.
That's that boy, man.
And that's another thing, right? It's like when you think about like certain teams that we see kind of like being formed throughout the series or squads, like you could see a scenario where maybe it's another like Makia type situation, and it's Momo and Kirishima, and that's like their final stand, and like that's what that was setting up. Like that team is gonna end up going out one day, and we got to be ready for it. Maybe they don't go out, but like they got to be ready to take that last battle, that big stand, and that's something that if they didn't have this crazy trauma-inducing PTSD loaded war, they might not be ready for it, which is.
I didn't even understand the complaints. Oh, you want to do your super chat?
Yeah, let me do that real quick. Bakugo in the anime, he said Satos was too big, but was first to eat it. Oh yeah, talking about the cake. I actually really like that scene. Small scene, but I did enjoy that little addition.
Mm-hmm.
So Tyler, can I mention what?
You got it. You got
okay.
it.
Oh, okay. So one thing that kind of stood out about All for One for me, at least in this chapter, he's really trying to demoralize Deku, if anything. And the way he's doing that is directly showing his experience with dealing with heroes, and number one, just kind of he's trying to show that his optimism is pointless because right now Deku's learning about like the faults in society, right? And Deku's being compelled to want to extend a helping hand. He believes that society can become better. This is his optimism. Now, All for One is saying that even in systems like democracy, like socialism, where it should be more equal, more just, because of the emphasis on the people, there still ends up being exclusion and persecution due to not fitting in with the status quo. And by making that point, he's trying to dissuade Deku from believing reform is possible. He's trying to make him believe his cynicism, because ultimately that injustice isn't, according to All for One, from societal systems, it's human nature. No form of government can stop this tribalism of persecuting those who don't fit into society's boxes.
I don't know. I don't know if I fully agree, because I mean I get it from the outlook of like he's demoralizing Midoriya. Like I understand that, but it's like there's something about Midoriya. Like if you know who Midoriya is, that isn't really like something, like if anything that's like pushing Midoriya, because Midoriya has already seen results. He's already seen like what happens when you can like actually like when you, and not say believe in the system, but when you actually, I guess, like what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word right now, but it's like I don't know. I don't know if that's exactly. I'm going to look at that again. Let me see.
Are you saying that Midoriya, from the angle that he's at, shouldn't be willing to accept that because his own experiences in life have shown that he could technically have a theoretically peaceful society?
Right. That and I feel like AFO, I don't know, like I feel like he may know that to some degree, like because like it's not because exclusively to Midoriya, but I think because he's seen it happen before. Specifically, I mean, if you look at his mentor or whatever, but it's like I don't know. I have to see like, hold on, let me see. What's the wrong sort of individual gets you ostracized, purged, predates human content?
Society is built off sacrifices, whether forced or decided. Split blitz flare. Hey, you spitting?
Cancel your soul with one
But
second.
this is kind of like rooting back to like my ultimate point about All for One is that fundamentally, in order for how he gained power was through promising freedom and you know um I guess like a second chance in the first generation
Mhm.
where there was tons of violence and discrimination and everything was terrible. And in that injustice, he framed himself a messiah with his mythical ability to take and give power to those who had none, for those who were already disadvantaged. All for One, to exist as he is now, needs an unjust world.
Well,
Well, yeah.
the way All for One, I think, kind of sees himself. Not only, first off, I don't think that All for One, the person, is even fully a person anymore. I'm currently of the belief that his quirk is more in control of him than he, as a person, actually realizes. Like, I think All for One is someone who's slowly more and more governed by his quirk than his actual self. Uh, but I do think that he kind of sees himself as like the mandate of heaven is his. He has that right. So even if these other systems fail and you don't have to like my system, but it's all garbage, like this is all just the natural order. I'm the apex predator. I have, like, to a certain degree, I have the right to just be on top and do this.
But and
His
that
argument
makes
is based
sense.
less off morality and more of all systems are unjust due to human nature.
Well,
Therefore,
it's failure.
I have the right to rule.
I think I've just seen. I
The
think he's seen
justice
too
of it
much
doesn't matter.
consistency from that, though. You feel me? Like I think he's seen so much like of the fail, like of the negative aspect of that it's like, that's kind of like you can't ignore that, and that's sort of like what there hasn't been anything that has been like to be able to replace that. It's been just continuation of just nonsense, like from on that people like Toga and all of that have been like what he's talking about. And I think it affects Midoriya because it's like I think Midoriya is like more focused on like people like Lady Nagant, where it's like, you know what I mean? Like this is what circumstances have like become of them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they chose this path given the fact that like what they have to go through and this like unfair. Like I know Midoriya like he understands that there's been like unfair treatment as far as like XYZ. Like he's seen that happen, but it's like I think that's the thing he's more focused on. And then of course, like if you skip to the end and where he's like, I'm targeting you now. I think like Midoriya is focused on like what the consequences of that. But he was always been chasing like, well, at least in the last, since he put on the suit, he's always been after, this was his plan to go after AF1 anyways, like to stop him. So like, I feel like, yeah, the stuff in between is like, I mean, I think he pays attention to it. I mean, he understands it through what happened, through what happened through Lady Nagant and people like that, etc. I mean, even if you go back all the way to like, the people he's dealt with in the past, like Chisaki and Gentle, like all of them, like, you know what I mean? Like he definitely knows what he's talking about, but I just don't see, I don't know, like that speech, it doesn't really affect Midoriya in the way that I think AFO is aiming for, at least in that page. That
I
the
think his
second to last page.
optimism, as the story portrays, is simply too strong to be
Deterred.
deterred. Yeah, that's a great word actually. But I do think All for One is being I think All for One is purposely putting out a very one-dimensional argument, not for the sake of proving himself right, but it's just to make Deku doubt himself.
So my thing is that All for One has no problems being one dimensional.
Yeah.
Right. 100%. Yeah.
And so, and his like, because for him, and this is why I say that I feel like he's genuinely more governed by his quirk than anything else, because it's just like anything, like when I said like your catchphrases, I wasn't kidding. Like all of it, he'll take it. He'll take anything. And his whole idea of like people will choose to do it because their free will is, while not directly taken, it becomes the inevitable conclusion of servitude when you're faced with defiance of one for all for one and what that actually means. So of course you get in line. And so for him, like he's like, yeah, humans are always flawed. They will always corrupt their systems. So any optimistic solution you could even hope to come up with. What I think is fascinating though is that All for One is effectively painting himself as contrary to the ideas of socialism.
Yeah,
So
that's one thing I noticed, definitely.
So
And
like
this is why I found
effectively what Horikoshi has kind of said here is that ideas like socialism and like those ideas of like helping each other are the like ideas that a hero inherently promotes. Whereas All for One being like the ultimate opportunist would be considered like an ANCAP.
like, oh yeah, anarchy capitalist.
So I want. There's a quote I wanted to say. I was watching Abba and Preach. I don't know who watches them, but those niggas be spitting, right?
Yeah.
So it's so funny in that I seen this and I that is definitely when I seen this and I heard this, I was like, yo, this applies to All for One, bar for bar. Like this nigga was spitting. He said it's easier to simplify people rather than recognizing the nuance in them because it creates conflicting feelings within ourselves. And that's bar for bar for that really applies to All for One, honestly.
Yeah, I think I agree, but it's also what Aniki was saying, and I think also what like the traits that sort of govern his personality, like his egotistical demeanor, like his strong will, the fact that like he has intemperance, like all of those stuff, like the greed, the desire, like all of that is like that nature of him, of like who he is as like a person, and obviously like what's been happening. I don't think he even like he says, I don't think he even recognizes like what's happening to him like on a like biological level, I guess you could say, like and just he I think that when it comes to like his interaction with Midoriya, like like you guys said, it is a bit one note, and it's kind of like whatever he's saying he's kind of using as just a way to justify the means, right? And for me, it's like, yeah, like there's very specific things in what he said that I'm paying attention to. And as I said, like the last page,
there's truth in it.
And then like the thing he said with like, can you guess who is on my mind? Like, what I've been doing this whole time, like those, like, that's what like sticks out for me. He's not necessarily wrong what he's saying, but we know, like we see the other end as readers, we see the other end of it. So we're kind of like, yeah, especially through Midoriya's lens and his perspective and what he's been doing to help. I mean, look how simple, like we just saw it in the chapter. Look how simple that interaction with, Chisaki and when he talked about Eri, he was like, listen, like if you do this thing with Eri, like I'll bring you to your boss. Like, what I'm saying? You saw how simple that was. Like Midoriya was just like, yeah, like he listens, because how Midoriya is. He's always listening, always taking notes. This time he's doing it mentally, but it's like he understood and like he's like, all right, like this is, you have a need, you have a desire, you have a want, something that like whatever, and so do we, and it's like we can accomplish if we meet at the middle. Like he just made that transaction possible. So it's like from Midoriya's perspective and from our perspective, we've already seen the results of like what can happen when like and we've seen why shit has like failed. We've seen why the hero society has like gone the way it is. We've seen why like Lady Nagant has been subjected to the treatment she got, Hawks, like etc. We've seen all this shit happen. So like from our end, it's like what AFO is saying is a bit one note, because we're like, hey man, we also see the failings of it. We're paying attention to what he's doing and why he is the way he is, but it's like we see it from a different lens.
I see. So it's funny that what I find very one note about All for One's argument is, yes, he does acknowledge that under any form of of government. It doesn't matter how much emphasis is on the people, there will always be that persecution
Yeah,
that
very
exemplifies
extreme, very extreme.
status quo. But if but there's also a very simple way to, I guess, address this is you can also address the fact that systems can be designed to purposely encourage certain aspects of human nature.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think, like in critiques of, let's say, like capitalism, it's critique for being extremely exploitative. It encourages being exploitative. Like systems can be designed to encourage certain aspects of humanity more than others.
Right.
And by boiling this down only to human nature, and not including the fact that the way society is structured and governed matters, All for One is putting together a pretty fallacious argument, in my opinion.
Mhm.
That's what I
Well,
mean
we-
by one note.
Yeah, 100%. We're on the same page. Yeah, we agree. Yeah, I think 100%. But I'm just like, my whole thing is just how Midoriya is responding to that. I just, for me, from my end, I think it's like he's really paying attention to like the three things that I said specifically, like that concerns him and like the people he cares about, right? Because it's like from his end, it's like what can he do to like change society? You know what I'm saying? Like he's like, what, bro? Like, I understand what you're saying, and he from him, I'm talking through Midoriya's perspective. It's like he understands what AFO is saying, but it's like there's only so much a person he's already knows there's only so much he can do. He's already realized that, right? Like he's not idealist to the point where like it's about this, like he's already changed. It's no longer about like I gotta save like like everybody, and he can, like it's just what he can manage and what he can do, and is like and who he can, like he knows that what he's responsible for. He knows what Shigaraki, like the potential, the threat of him, and like what he stands for and all of that. So it's like he understands like there's goals. It's no longer just like I think these like idealistic notions. He's seen too much, and I think it's more so like he's kind of responding to what he needs to get done, and so that's kind of like how I saw that scene. I don't know if like he was necessarily impacted by what he said from
there is something
AFO's perspective.
that like I'm thinking about now though, and that's that to a certain degree Deku has never Deku is like looking at what society needs like socially and like what he needs to start, like how he needs to start interacting with people.
Mhm.
Hold on. We got napping Ponzu.
That boy tired.
That boy tired.
That's great.
Fell asleep.
Fell asleep.
Don't worry, he's still processing in sleep.
But while we got Deku has never been like, oh yeah, I should be a political leader. But to a certain degree, that's kind of what All for One treats his ruling of the underworld as. Like, he goes out of his way to achieve this and then like set up a system, because when he talks to All Might, he says, he took around my allies, meaning that likely All for One was working with people who were under him, who were like designated daimyo or whatever, like however you want to look at it, as like taking care of different
They were people of power.
Yeah. So what you have there then is like, if All for One is going out of the way to do all this other stuff, then it only seems natural that he's kind of like, Deku, you aren't even operating on this level. So it's also even a go that like Deku, who's never thought about the political methods and measures which he would take to beat AFO, and
right.
Even to a certain degree, like when you think about the fact that he hasn't been communicating with his closest allies and like Bakugo, Shoto, Uraraka, and like them, like that whole cutoff, like there's been a coordination with the pros, sure, but like facilitating a wide scale operation across the nation is not something that Deku has thought to even try, even though yes, it'd be a lot more difficult. You would think it'd be something he'd be trying more.
Honestly, has he even thought about how he's actually gonna like take? Because he's 100% aware that he's not taking on Shigaraki or like. So in my head, I'm like, bro, this boy hasn't even thought of like how to.
That's my thing too. Cause I'm like, hey, all right, bro, you get there, and then what?
And then what?
You
gonna
have to catch that nigga sleeping or some shit, and then
you gotta get through all the other. Like, come on,
like, how did you think this was gonna go? You just thought he was sleeping. He had no backup.
Got a little boost. Caught him off guard.
I've been wondering that all arc.
You sneaked him, bro.
Say yes.
Yeah, I saw Sayas chilling here the whole
I've just
time.
been sitting here for like half an hour waiting for a moment to butt in because I have no idea what to say to any of that.
Chime in. But no. What you said, he's like 100%. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I really, so as far as like we talked about him being one note, it's like on the other hand, it's like as far as like plans go, like
because I like people like, all right, he gonna say sure. I'm like, give me a detailed breakdown how you plan on touching Shigaraki's actual heart. Because like I confused. You beat the nigga outside, the nigga still inside exists. So like, how do you actually plan? Like, do you plan like you have a plan to touch Shigaraki and y'all become in the bestest world together? And you be like I'm confused on what.
No, but not even just that. It's the fact that like the whole gang around him, like the squad of heroes around him, are just like kind of going with it too. Like, all right, because it's like the way they see it, it's like this is the only thing we can do. Like Endeavor just got out of the hospital. Like Hawks had to pep him up. Like in Best Genius, they had to like gas him up a little bit to be like, yo, like we need you back on the field. But they really like, if you think about it, like the reason they're there and the reason they're doing this shit is like they're hanging on a thread, bro. They really
that's why exactly what I meant when last week I said that I have no idea where this is going, because at first it was like they were running away from him. Now they seem to be searching him. I don't see what they are trying to achieve
like
because
they're doing what they have to, but it's not necessarily like when it comes down to it, it's like in the face of someone who has a plan, who's been in Tartarus, like plotting this out. And then when Shigaraki actually comes out and with all the villain, like it really just seems so small. Like
that's why I laughed at that
when the
panel.
heroes had a plan and Shigaraki didn't have a plan, Shigaraki ended up getting away, leaving most of the city destroyed and a huge wreck behind him. And now it's like Endeavor is weaker than before. Machinist isn't any better than before. Hawks is kind of out. I mean, he can't fly. What are they even doing there?
That's why I laughed.
That's why I laughed at that.
That's why I laughed at that fucking panel when everybody here was gassing up. It's a team between the top three and Deku and all. I'm like, bro, Hawks ain't got no fucking wings. All Might is a cripple and a handicap. Endeavor got pierced through his lung. He got to deal with his dead son coming back to life. And Gina's handicapped too. And Deku was like 45%. What are y'all gassing up? And you see now, All-4 got everybody dancing the palm of his hands. Y'all lose. You are losing.
Okay, hold on. Let's talk about that for a second. Because in that panel, I remember specifically taking that panel and posting it to the TL like, look, he doesn't have wings. This cannot go well. Like,
yeah, I mean, let's be honest. The smartest thing AFO could have done is just stay there, wait for them, and take them out when they come in.
Because now he's
why is he even hiding?
Food.
What's he hiding
playing
from?
With his food.
No, he playing with bro. I bet you that I watch this. I guarantee you, the next move these niggas make is either one or two things. They going matter of fact, I bet you he going this the stupid shit heroes always do. They always lie about their identity till they love people. Like, or they did be like,
and the villain fights them anyway.
Or I have to go, I have to leave you to protect you. You dumbass. Don't you realize that when you leave and something inevitably happens, that they realize like, oh, that's your loved ones. They know you from UA. If you left UA, All-4 like to fuck with people, he gonna pull up on UA and fuck with everybody you care about. Mm-hmm. And it's gonna really fuck. Watch, I'm telling you, whether it be Dobby or All-4 and Dobby, they gonna fuck up UA, and he could be like, I should have stayed. I hate you, like nigga. You should have stayed your ass there, bro. Like you leaving, like Shigaraki can find you anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Thanks.
So like,
that's what I'm saying. They're gonna lose. They're taking this out.
That's why I say this entire arc. I have no idea what the plan is. I have no idea what they're even doing there. I mean, I realize that they're just trying to do their best, but. Just use your brains, guys.
Wait, hold on. Let me address chat real quick. To answer your question, Arblast, like he's like I said before, like he's aware, like Hawks pointed it out, like the other quirk users, they pointed it out, like he's choosing whether or not he's going to ignore that or not as far as like putting his body in danger. But it's like the things that he's done, it's like it's been on the line, but that's what, like, you know, he's putting himself on the line to like get these results, like obviously like with Lady Nagant, like, you know, and the back when he fought, what's his name, so it's like all of that kind of makes sense. Like it's aware we're aware of it, but it's like they have produced results that kind of matter. I don't think he's like reckless enough. The question is whether or not he's reckless enough to actually like push the limits to where like he's back in the hospital again, you know what I mean? And I don't think like I think we're good as far as that goes. But yeah, go ahead, Aniki.
Yeah, okay. One, like people in the chat are saying, like part of the situation is to break down Deku, because if he's just exhausted, he won't be able to fight back.
Right.
Like it
Immensely, too.
is the classic Bane versus Batman scenario where you just throw a bunch of shit at him until he can't do anything for real, and then just show up.
Yeah, but Deku just lets him. I mean,
And so that's the thing, is that's why, like, with the body snatching thing and with everything, I've been like, we can't really trust anything because they've been wrong about a bunch of shit. And their whole plan was literally that we're just gonna go running around arresting niggas until we find him.
Right.
That's the extent of their plan. We're gonna whoop niggas until we find AFO.
Right.
Well.
Oh, Walkins is here.
Look who decided to write yet another fire chapter of My Hero Academia, showing you guys how it's done.
Yes, sir.
Told all of you, oh, Nagant knows exactly where All For One is. No.
Yeah, they were saying that last week. Oh no.
They've been saying that, like, oh, she knows exactly where he is. Nah, All For One's smarter than that. And he proved it to you guys this week.
Oh yeah, because you guys realize he realistically got Kurogiri back, right?
yeah, probably. I mean,
Oh yeah, I've been telling people that.
So like, yeah, he could have had her go to the thing, and then she would have contacted him like, "Hey, I'm on my way to the mansion," and then he would have teleported there like 30 minutes beforehand, picked up Deku, and peaced out.
I mean, even if that was a thing, like, what are they finna do? Like, they even if they pull up, like, even if he could have gave him the location. And what's up?
They're
Like,
not gonna do shit.
Shit.
Look who they were able to round up for this quote unquote raid that they tried to do.
Man, if I had Shigaraki, like Shigaraki is like at 90%, 95% right now, right?
Hold up, this ain't no raid. This is like a sleepover. They're like
the only reason why I think he's doing this and didn't really even like why that matters, why as far as like not revealing that shit, is because he wants that, like, he wants Deku shit. Like, that's really he wants him mentally exhaust all of that shit. So
he told him, you walking on this thorny path, I'm gonna fuck with you, nigga. He's like, I knew what you was gonna do. I knew how this was gonna go. Off one played
that
me
feeds
too.
his ego too.
Yeah, off one was playing me too. I was like, all right, she gave her a location. Okay. I didn't say a fake location. I said I was wrong. I said he gave a location if he wouldn't expect her. But he was like, if you succeed and don't change your heart, cool. But I expect you to. He was somewhere watching this bitch and said,
expecting
I know
her to,
you.
exactly.
I just like, but
He
bro,
knows
I can't even imagine, because like, you know, it's like I can't even imagine a fucking anime, because it's like when she's falling and you see the cracks, and then you'll have him narrate before you see his face, or he'll just come out.
He really the eyes up in this bitch.
Yeah, because the on panel is like, okay, he's all of a sudden you see that nigga talking all of a sudden, and he's like right there, it's split. But you imagine the anime is just like one scene, and then you just hear this nigga, hearts are so weak. You like, who the fuck? And you hear his theme music playing, and a little fucking
to the laugh,
Just chuckling in the back.
I'm like, but this little like the violin shit. I'm like,
yo,
get this nigga. He a sicko. He can't keep getting away with this.
He can't keep getting away.
He can't.
He knows,
and
man.
just seeing
knows.
Deku's eyes is getting more and more tired. Like you were seeing more of that, and I
looks more
love it.
And that's part of him being a villain. It's like
Mhm.
the shit he's being thrown. The fact that he hasn't had to deal with Midoriya directly, that he's sitting just like watching all this unfold is like really, like, you know, it feeds his ego and shit, you know. So it's like,
Yep.
it's all kind of
Love
works
it.
out.
Bro, I'm telling you, that he gonna push Deku to his.
This is what we want with villains, man.
Watch Deku and them gonna say it, bro. He'll be like, "You bastard! You turning with people! You almost killed this motherfucker!"
And to go back to what Sayers was saying, like, I think that's for me, like, what makes antagonists, part of what makes villains really good is just seeing them like that unreachable. Like, how do you like kind of make us sitting here questioning, like, how are they bounce back from this? Like, how do they recover from something after? So like,
bro,
that's kind of like,
this is. I want y'all to realize,
for better or worse, they're gonna change from the outcome.
This is a starting point of a long, lull period.
Yeah,
of fucking progression of these niggas. Shit hits these niggas can't win.
The villain's up on the scoreboard, bro.
Like,
I agree. I agree, and I think that it's going to be exciting. And it's just, it irks me that going in, it just seems like there's no feasible plan and not even like a real attempt at that. And that irks me, because I kind of hate going in with all these characters that kind of know what they're doing, but still.
Wait, what specifically irks you?
So I guess the real question kind of comes down to this philosophically. Are they being arrogant, or are they just desperate?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's
for the heroes.
They're desperate.
Yeah, like, and I think it's just them being that desperate, because it's like Says, you're right. Like when I say out loud, their plan is just to whoop niggas until they find AFO.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that is literally the extent of their plan.
Knowing they can't take out AFO. I mean, if that would be the plan to whoop people until they find AFO, that would be okay. But they don't know how to take out AFO. So
I mean, but they can take down. I'm guessing the plan is to rush up on Shigaraki really quick while he's still resting or sleeping or what have you, and get AFO. Be like, all right, bro, we can jump you. We can't take Shigaraki, but we can take a cripple you because you already took that beating from All Might again. So like, we could probably jump you and take you. I guess that's the plan.
My question is, do you want to hear from one of them specifically saying like, addressing like why they're going about this plan, like why are they choosing to do this? Is that what you're trying to see?
Yes.
I think for me, the moment where I got kind of confused was when, I think it was 3 chapters ago or 4 chapters ago, when Deku was like turning around attacking Nagant because Nagant could tell him where AFO was, as he thought. And that was when I realized that there's not really a plan. And it seems so much like this is Deku's plan and not so much the adults' plans. This is, I think, what kind of irks me. It seems like this was a spontaneous decision by Deku, and now they're just following along instead of us actually seeing them kind of sit together and talk about it. Because before that was kind of phrased as, oh, AFO will come after me, so I have to leave so that he doesn't attack people I love when I'm around them, which seemed to be more of a running away from AFO plot and not a attacking AFO kind of plot. Well, and then suddenly it was this shift where Deku was, okay, now I go on the attack because this guy, this Lady Nagant probably knows where AFO is. And this was where I thought it was kind of shifting. So I thought it would be, for me, more believable if I actually felt like the adults came up with that plan or had a say in the plan, and not just Deku suddenly having this weird idea about taking out AFO.
Two things. The first thing is like, I understand where you're coming from, but I understand the shift. That's what I understand, because from Midoriya being the person he is, and of course, like, you know, Endeavor, and of course Hawks, like, and you know, Genus, all of them, like, because of who they are and like their responsibilities that they feel, they're just not going to hide out. Like, they're just it's just not in them to just kind of like hide out from and let the streets like be chaotic and let all this shit happen. Like, they're gonna have, like, plan or action or not, they're gonna just like be there, like, you know, doing this. And of course Midoriya has to get better at using his quirk. So a lot of this, like, the shift for me makes sense. Like, he's just applying that. But as far as like, yeah, I do agree with you, you know, and what we've been saying, what I brought up originally was like, they really don't have a plan. So I mean,
to be fair, to be frank, Deku has more insight on this thing too, because it's like, all right, bro, this is the fated battle. I have no choice. Shigaraki can track me anywhere I go. We don't know the limits, but you know, it's fair enough to say like Shigaraki can track me where I'm at, this, that, and the other. So he already made the plan that I have to go do this, of course, recklessly alone, all on his own. And then they jumped in onto Deku's plan after, because All Might, if you put it all together, all the flashback together, it happens. Deku wakes up, they talk to his mom, he says, I gotta go off my own. All Might, I'm not gonna let you go alone. It's those two together. Then you put the chapter after he
by association.
then you put the chapter after he beats Muscular, pulls over All Might. He's like, hey, listen, I know you guys think, you know, you gotta do this alone, but you don't. Let's do this together. Yeah, and then it's like, all right, then like,
and by who they are, they're like Hawks and listen, like, Midoriya aside, Hawks and Endeavor have to be in the field. Like, they have to be doing this. Like, you know what I'm saying? That the press conference, people are going, what are you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? They have to hold it together, bro. Like, they have to be out here. So it's like, now the whole thing with AFO, that's a whole thing altogether, but it's like, that's an objective. It's like, it doesn't necessarily like go against like what they're trying to do, protect Midoriya, and then of course, like,
I think for me the major issue is that I feel like this is there are a bunch of adults listening to a 16, 17, I'm not really sure, 16, 17-year-old boy
16.
who doesn't really have a feasible plan, but they're just following his plan because they don't seem to have a better idea. And this idea that nobody even addresses the fact that we're a bunch of adults following the plan of the 16-year-old who has no plan.
So what do you think is the better option?
I don't know, maybe just one chapter or one panel where I see them sit together and complain about or think about the fact that they are following a 17-year-old with no plan, for the fact that, and the thing about a lot of stories is that, of course, he's a main character, and at some point the main character always takes over to have a plan, but mostly that's because this character already has like this position of authority. and or the people around them are at the same age and the same position. But here it really seems like Deku, who is the least experienced and the youngest and just a kid, making this plan, and all the adults following without even questioning it, even though we can see from a distant away, like from a mile away, that the plan is not going to end in success. And they are still just run along with a 17-year-old. And I just wanted them to address the fact how absurd that is. I mean,
you want? You really want a conversation them addressing how absurd, like, you just want one page basically, because that's all you get.
Because what
it's
is
not going to be a full-fledged conversation, because the conversation
it's not that one note.
It's not going to add anything. All they would do is make. And they even stressed it before, like, well, this basically all we got. Like, we don't really have much to do. Like, we don't really. There's nothing to do. Like that. The outcome of that conversation is nothing. Honestly, like they can complain about it, and that's all it's going to be.
No, but all of these things add up, though. Like all of these things add up. It's like it's kind of like a tangent of, like, as East brought up before. It's like Midoriya deciding he cares about these people. He doesn't want them to be, impacted by the consequences of that, and it's like he goes out on his own. All Might follows him because he doesn't, he's his mentor or whatever. They have that relationship, and it's like through that, and then you have, like, he's gaining experience. It's like I feel like a lot of what he's doing doesn't necessarily, like, I think it all adds up. I don't think it's as one note as far as like them just like a bunch of adults following a kid. I mean, it seems like that in hindsight, but it's like I feel like
that's the thing. I understand that the situation they're in. I realize that it is within Deku's character to act the way he does. That's not the issue. It's just that for me, the fact that they don't address it seems to changes it from them in the way I see it. I watch. The thing is, ultimately in storytelling, how do you bring things across? Is this a bunch of people just putting all their
putting on a show,
all their belief on a 17-year-old who has no idea, just stupidly
wait, around,
or is it a bunch of desperate people?
Wait.
I think you kind of have to.
You said putting all their faith in. What do you mean by that? Because
wait, because I've been trying to look through the things, because I thought there was like something that kind of hinted at this, but like I'm looking at back in chapter 311, after they get like all the garbage tossed at them, there's a small bit of conversation where Hawks, Genus, and Endeavor are talking, where Hawks is like, should we create more distance between us and Midoriya? And I think the implication kind of is, through like 311 and 310 specifically, is that Deku is like, basically like, I'm running away and I'm going to search for All for One, no matter what you guys have to say. Because one of the things they say is that, like, yeah, it's his plan, but we can't really stop. Like they're like, he's the one who's asking for this. He's trying to do all this stuff, and they don't want to give him more issues because they don't want to like have the media tied to him. So it's like it very heavily like implies that
they know
he's like Deku is like trying to do this himself, and they just want to help him at the very least, because they don't want to just leave it all on the kid. So basically they're there to not let it all be.
They know of his court. They know like why AFO is seeking him, and it's like it makes sense, but they might as well protect him like along them. You know what I'm saying? They might as well.
They literally said, we using Midori to draw the All for One. Like that's them. Like it's not there's nothing they can do. Like there's a little, like some reason sometimes it's just a protagonist and it's just an anime and they just take the lead for whatever reason or what have you.
But that's not it.
This is way more layers to that. This is a power tied to a fucking evil ass mastermind nigga that they cannot take lightly. The streets they have there's so much going on. They're doing what they can. Like what do they do? Take the lead? How do they take the lead? They can't take the lead. They can't do anything. That nigga is specifically after Izuku Midoriya. They can't keep him nowhere. Like you can't protect them. Like they can't sit there and just like, you sit here and wait. They all have to be out doing things in order to progress. Right. It's not like
no. The thing is, I have no problem with that happens. As I said, I understand that it is within the character. I understand that it's within the plot. And of course, Deku is the one that AFO wants. That's clear. I just want somebody to, and if it is just one panel, just before, for example, this mission, which is a suicide mission if ever I've seen one, to be honest. If just somebody addresses how absurd this is, I would just that would have just been made it for me. I don't know, better. This is maybe it was just because it seemed so fast from. This is where the villains are. bam, we're there, bam, it's over. And it's just, yeah, but what would have happened if the villains were there? Because they would have all died, because nobody can fight AFO at the moment.
Or like the combination of like multiple elite Tartarus villains on top of that.
So
Like they could have legit rushed into a mansion with like 10 plus world-class villains.
This is
Yeah,
also
and
why
I
I
don't
was
like the fact
like,
that they are just, sorry.
it might be partially their arrogance, because I'm like, is their mentality that like if we fight them in somewhere, I'll just instantly prominence burn everyone?
Yeah.
'Cause,
No,
like,
there is an arrogance to it. There
Because
is.
I'm like,
Yeah.
because like
That's not
unless
the-
that's the mindset, like I'm just gonna go in there and burn everyone down, like before we like without it being an actual fight. I don't understand why they're doing this. You are correct, Sayez, in that it's like y'all don't have the numbers, because like that's the thing we pointed out too, is that like you compare this to the raid on the mansion and like or even the hospital raid team, and it's like,
or
Even Camino.
It's weak.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
like,
they're not even fighting Shigaraki now. They're now fighting Shigaraki, AFO, the rest of the league, whoever they freed. I don't know how many Nomus there are left.
I think there
About
are
7
things in the
almost,
story that make
8.
sense to why this was built the way. I mean, you had Midoriya leave a bunch of people so he could not put them in danger. It kind of makes sense that they're moving in a smaller team, but it's like, yeah, I mean, I understand it from both ends, but I mean, ultimately, I have to see what happens in the next, like the following chapters, as far as like what happens when they actually come across a threat that like they can't, like that reminds, like whatever Hori's intentions is, as far as like, okay, if if somebody gets injured or somebody died, whatever the case, it's like, and then we start seeing the blowback from like their arrogance and the shit that they were like, this plan being like, ridiculous, then I'm gonna go, okay, I see where this was going, and maybe that was where. But if it's like, if it's we're consistently getting this, and they're continuing to, Midoriya is getting experience and continuing to like, protect, simultaneously continue to protect Midoriya, and then it's like, like I'm gonna have to see how it plays out. But right now, I do that is like something in the back of my mind. But again, it's like it really depends how.
And that could come from the fallout from this chapter and what happens at the end of this.
Right.
Yeah, and it could also come from the inevitable conversation that somebody needs to have with Deku about his recklessness.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just I'm just pissed because of what Poison Tree said, that Endeavor isn't stepping up as a leader and following the
Here we
16-year-old
go.
around.
It comes
Maybe
back around to Endeavor.
Yep. Sorry, it's raining.
Back around. This
Sorry,
whole
you
time,
can't handle
Aniki's
a little rain.
being stringed along
Hey,
to say
yo,
his master plan.
Incredible how the
Endeavor.
number one was complaining to Bakugo that.
Oh, you got it,
there's
yeah.
no-
I thought that was funny too. I was just, go on.
You know what's funny? Back in internship,
3 steps
know,
backwards in character development.
and-
God,
Endeavor was like, all right, you know what? You can't. There's no such thing as like having a bad day. You know why? Because people die if you aren't like at your
you can
best. Meanwhile,
function in winter, man, but I can't function in rain.
yeah, you get rain is so much more common than winter.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. I hated that.
Hey, but
I mean,
it's
hey,
logical.
it's
It's consistent
fire.
logical.
like
I think that just kind of underlines his hypocrisy, if anything. It's always kind of stuck out to me as a hypocritical person. Like that was like the whole thing with his family, especially with Toya. He was just super hypocritical. He'd be like, "Oh, there's more to being in life than just being a hero." He's got to be obsessing and just hating over a man who's a better hero than him. It's like he's always been. A hypocrite.
I know he's packing in that suit.
Sayez, did you read Poison Tree's comic? Because I think he said something to you. But going off that, it's like, I mean, Endeavor. We saw where Endeavor was, guys. We saw the whole thing in the hospital, man. Like I told you, like he had to have a pep talk to just even like the man was like, he's like, what do I do? Like he was crying. Like, come on, bro. Like the man is not in a position to be a leader, and like the man is not in a position to carry the team. Like talk about the rain. Like
this is how it happened. Okay, the black screen happened, and then Hawk. It's that day of right before they go in. Hawk's on the comm far away. Yo, everybody, okay, you guys, everyone, be safe, everyone. The Genius is walking too. He's like, be careful. They're on the side. All right, be careful. And then Devin's like, yo, Deku, wait, yo, chill out, nigga, stop rushing. But Deku's already walking off ahead of him, all right? I know you all dealt with kids and the motherfuckers run faster than you ahead of your time, okay? It's a little different, I understand, but like, yo, he's like, yo, Yo, chill the fuck out. Like
I'm
moved-
crying at that thing he said about the drizzle, bro. I'm crying about that rain shit.
No.
That shit was
He,
Because
cute,
it-
bro.
he
It
says
was
it like
so
he's
stupid.
apologizing to Deku, like,
It-
"Oh, sorry, Deku Senpai, the rain is slowing me down."
You know how I
It'd
am
be
with
funny-
the rain.
it'd be
Like,
fu-
I was
it'd be
like,
fu-
bro, what?
It'd be funny if he started talking shit to that. He was like, "Nigga, you see me complaining about the rain? Hurry your ass up."
Hawks out here like, fuck my wings, bro. Like, these niggas
Like,
killed,
let's be
bro.
honest. Let's
These
be
niggas
honest.
killed.
I'll
They're
call
commentary.
him, bro.
If this were just a scene of somebody with a very strong quirk admitting to a weakness, that would be one thing. But following the scene with Bakugo, where he's like, "Yeah, even if it's winter, you have to function." It's just so ironic. I hate it.
You know,
Wait,
Bakugo was-
wait,
he would've
wait,
definitely
wait.
He's
said
always
some
been a
petty shit.
hypocrite, though.
Like, I know you said that comment just to like, but it's just like, it's funny just seeing like, it's just funny, man.
Like, okay,
Like-
look. It was a morale booster. We all know all
Yeah.
quirks have some form of weakness, but like
Exactly.
also, like, really, that's just Horikoshi being like, he had to travel 2 kilometers, but meatheads are gonna try to calculate. Well, technically, Endeavor's capable of going at the speed of sound,
Yeah.
and it's like, fine.
It's kind of Hori's like, it's like a light, yeah. It's kind of like,
jabbing, like he being it's on multiple layers, like multiple levels. Like, all right, I need to keep away. Hawks can't fucking travel that fast. Genus too.
exactly.
I mean, couldn't he have joked about, I don't know, I had to carry that heavy bird around?
Yeah, like his immediate thought, like he.
Wait,
That shit was so.
Hawks is like
funny,
80 pounds. That look
Yeah,
even.
that's why it would have been a joke.
That shit
Okay,
was
so
I love that. I need more of that.
I'll talk
He
about.
built like Brock Lesnar. I don't want him to. He can't. No, he can't look weak like that. No.
Okay, I got a few things to talk about, so I know how to structure it now.
Feel like progress.
So whoever said this, I need you to notify yourself in the chat again. They brought up a really interesting point. So I feel like if I talk about off one first, I could segue to Shigaraki later on. So they said, how do you guys feel about Deku having help from the vestiges to combat All for One and get into the mind of his tactics? Basically, we already fought this guy. We know some of his tactics or his patterns or how he likes to do this, that, and the other. So Deku would be having a lot more. It would be flashbacks to other vestiges having time where they went against All for One and shit he used to do to fuck with them. Because he probably repeated the same tactics before. That's just human nature to repeat.
See,
Yeah, they're walking. They're walking into a trap, though. That's like the bait. You know what I'm saying?
But
Like,
I'm saying, but they would be talking. The vestiges. Whoever said this, make sure.
right. I know the response.
But-
I'm just going
but-
off like what.
Yeah, but the vestiges would be like, all right, listen, you need to keep a cool head, because the more you rush, the more you do this, the more he's got you where he fucking wants you. We've already all experienced this before. Like I've been in experience like where he did this to us before, like this, that, and another.
The other thing that I kind of like think about here, and now this ended up just being like I feel like Deku having access to these vestiges kind of further solidifies that, like, the fight versus All for One or versus Shigaraki or however it's going to end up going down, whether Shigaraki ends up dying or not, because like I do think Shigaraki could die before All for One, but that's because of those cult tie-ins and like the way, if he, like, with the IRL interpretation and inspirations, there's a chance that like Shigaraki just dies a prisoner, and that's just like a fat L that Shig takes.
Nah, we get off that.
I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay with that. But it would just, like, All for One would just have to do a couple extra things to make it actually good.
Why does this nigga AFO seem like Vince McMahon from WrestleMania? This motherfucker's putting Shigaraki Doria. This is the bout of the century. This man is lining up like a whole match, bro. Like,
He's you know what? I want to talk about this.
he's really talking his shit, bro.
So now I can segue into this too.
Left corner, like, come on, bro.
So now I can segue into this. So somebody was pointing out earlier, Squid was talking about how, like, All for One is just like, oh, dictator, like, how he influences people or how he brings the power or he gets his power like that.
Yeah, he gets his power from an unjust world. That's how he got it in the first generation.
But if you look at everything built around Shigaraki and him attaining his freedom from All for One and the shackles and the liberation with Redestro and him just doing as he pleases, and then the line about, I just want my friends to live how they see fit. That's the future I want. And how Redestro's talking about freedom through anarchy and like just being us. When All for One is like, yeah, you be yourself. But still manipulating people in a certain way and this, that, and the other. when Shigaraki really rises to the top, that's gonna be one of the things that's truly beautiful about his character. How often one did this manipulate, tricky, this, that, and the other. Because we already know Shigaraki isn't surpassed off one on the level of fucking 5D chess shit. All right. And I'm pretty, and this nigga off one dying, and he already got it planned out because he wins. No, this nigga don't lose. Even when he lose, he wins. All right. Nobody beating him. He already got it all mapped out. But when Shigaraki truly passes him, that's the point too. Is like, well, how Deku is not as ignorant as All Might, because All Might but when you speed blitz past a nigga, you knock him out 2 seconds, or you punch him and you knock him out before you even get to him. You don't need to worry about, oh, I just stopped the villain. You don't worry about the nuance. You don't worry about why that villain did what he did. But Deku was more nuanced, and he's seeing the gray, just how like off one is the dark, All Might is the light. Now both of these two boys are being the fucking gray that melds it together. So they're doing their thing, just how like Shigaraki's liberation through freedom and your heart, your soul being who you are. Like, and Deku's trying to understand more, like, okay, why the fuck you doing what you doing? Instead of All Might is like, you know, that nigga would ask nobody questions. Half the time he couldn't ask anybody questions because niggas was already fucking knocked the hell out by the time he pulled up. So like it's essential in that. Also, shout out to Akira because
shout out Akira. I was about to say,
I was
shoot chapter. No, hold up. Let me go. my series. Shout out Horikoshi. You know he reads that shit. We know from the color page, and we know from the reference from chapter 233 back in My Villain Academia, the whole Shigaraki Tetsuo thing, when he got the arm, blown off. So shout out him, bro. And also, like, you guys were, seeing that it has ties to that as far as like that series. He read that shit because a lot of Akira has to do with political turmoil, anarchy, social isolation, corruption, all that stuff. So yeah, you damn well know that.
I should read it.
One of my favorite references, Akira Rising. That's one of the chapters. Actually,
yes,
Akira
sir.
Rising.
Yes, sir.
We do know also how many characters have a rising in this motherfucker too. But one of my favorite references too is what they talk about Shigaraki. Don't let Shigaraki wake up. But when they start getting close to Akira in the manga,
Akira awakening.
They keep talking like, don't let that nigga wake up. If he wake up, it's over with. And they keep doing that shit with Shigaraki. Like when he was in it too, it was like, yo, if we let this motherfucker wake up, it's over for us. It's over.
Y'all wanna know what Shigaraki's gonna do when he's at 100%? Go to book 3 Akira. At the end of book 3 Akira, that 20-page stretch when Akira awakens and wipes out the whole fucking city of Tokyo, that whole scene is exactly what's gonna happen, bro. Like buildings falling, like all that shit. That's exactly that's a glimpse, bro.
I can't fathom what's gonna. Yeah, I don't think y'all can fathom. This nigga Shigaraki finna be so god tier. I'm just scared about the art. My eyes might fall out of my socket and melt away by what I'm finna witness. Because, goddamn, this nigga progresses every chapter with the art. I can't even imagine what this shit gonna look like by the time we just get to Shigaraki.
They never explain.
Listen, people are gonna stop denying Shigaraki the throne.
Don't worry, they can deny it all they want. When the pen, like I said, I got my hit list. When the pen on the paper, don't think I forgot. I got y'all in 4K. Don't worry about it. You know who you are. Don't try to run and hide. I got the hit list. When the pen on the paper and y'all can't do no wiggle room, no wavering, no, we don't know yet. It's over for y'all. I just want you to know. You dug your grave. You dug your grave. There's no getting out of it. I'm trying to let y'all know.
Who dug his grave?
East is on a warpath right now, Says. You know how it is. Sometimes you just gotta air the place out.
By the way, Nezu, if he did the Nezu reference, because there is a traitor in Akira named Nezu, so that would be Aniki. That's what again. That's funny enough. Funny enough, there is a traitor in Akira named Nezu.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Isn't his name like spelled the exact same way as well?
Yeah. Fuck Nezu. What? OG, like Akira shit.
I would love me like an Akira open world game though. Like Cyberpunk, like almost did it, and then like their story was trash. So I was like, nah, I ain't feeling this G.
It wasn't even just a story. Cyberpunk, like the problems with that game, like they just couldn't. I mean, never mind. We're getting off tangent before I start talking about.
By the way, I really love how AFO doesn't care about All Might anymore at all. Like everybody is like, yeah, he's so mad at him. He's obsessed with All Might because All Might threw it in his face. No, he doesn't care because why would he?
So now I have a question. How much did his allies actually mean to him?
I told you,
Well,
you can see
hold on,
value.
hold on, because just because he doesn't care about All Might anymore, we got to make something clear here. The second, see, okay, so this is also why, like, if the Shiggy plan to take, like, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna take his body. If that was a post Camino plan, that would make sense to me. Specifically because he was like, okay, I've confirmed it now. You don't have it anymore. In a world where like he gets to like beat All Might and like take his powers, and Shigaraki is the grandson, and he gets to like raise him up. We're like, your enemy, bitch. Shigaraki matters. But it could be that any and all attachment to the Shigaraki project was based on All Might, and as soon as All Might lost One for All, he was like, all right, that nigga don't matter.
I really think,
Especially
I don't
because, but the one problem that I have with that though is that the All for One removal surgery had to have happened post Camino.
No, I don't think he doesn't care for Shigaraki anymore, because the thing is, Shigaraki is Nana's grandchild, and not All Might's grandchild. He abducted it both in a sort of revenge for Nana and to hurt All Might. And the hurt would probably still work for Deku, because the thing is, he can still hurt Deku via All Might. So in that sense, All Might still matters indirectly.
Oh, I just mean like the reason why he's saying that like all his plans and stuff center around Deku and not All Might anymore.
That's what I was. Yeah.
I'm not saying that like he's not going to be like, I can shoot All Might's legs off in front of him. That'll be fun. Like, no. Totally still on the table.
Right.
Just anything that like happens to All Might now will be because of Deku, not because of who All Might is.
Yeah.
He's already he's
done with that old bum.
He knows that.
Yeah, he's got a new toy.
He knows that.
I'm done playing. Yo, somebody's got to do the meme. I'm done playing.
Yeah. Done playing with you now.
Hey, Shola, I want you to know you definitely on that list. When Nutsack Face get packed up, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. You definitely one's on top of my list when Nut Face get packed up. I can't wait,
bro. Why he built like a Thanos chin?
This a Thanos chin.
Yes.
Also, someone got packed up in that JJK chapter. I'm very happy. Just going to say that.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Man.
We were talking a little too stinky with that, but anywho.
Yeah, rightfully so.
I actually wanted that character to stick around.
Break?
Yeah, he's on break. Gege's on break for a month.
Hold on, are you talking about 151?
Okay. Also, I don't know if anybody made the joke, but I was really glad that I didn't see it, because you know how people always say that like JJK is like the spiritual successor of Hunter x Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter is so bad. Why would they need a spiritual successor?
That's not why. My point is that I was worried that was going to be like all over the TL. It's like, Gege wanted to be like Togashi so bad. Like, no.
Hey, you got Tarnish in here.
No, I think people know. We've already dealt with like the health concerns with Mira. Like that was already a huge thing that like I think people kind of maybe people realize, like, you know, even though that was like a totally separate thing, but still kind of connected. But yeah, I think it's like people are more kind of conscious of like what they say on the timeline, at least in my time, like my circle. I don't know how you'll be moving outside that.
Like,
but I don't think
it's anything crazy. So I was just like glad.
Yeah, it's like it makes a lot of sense. I mean, the conditions, I already talked about this on time. Like the conditions that these writers are subjected to is appalling, man. Like we really don't, like, week to week. It's a blessing we get that. We don't even have to, like, I'd be cool with 2 weeks. I'd be cool with a bi-weekly or a month. I'm chilling.
I would personally love
bi-weekly. My hero, I'm chilling, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about any of y'all.
I think if we're gonna like go bi-weekly, I'd rather have like an official like change to bi-weekly. Like One Piece is weekly, but Oda's basically writing it is bi-weekly, and you know what? He should be doing that 100%. He should. I just wish that
like with One Piece, I kind of just wish they'd be like bi-weekly. I wish they would just
because he would benefit from his drawing. It would benefit from his like thinking about what he puts, like, because right now a lot of, I mean, not to go off on a tangent, but a lot of what Oda is doing, man, is like in consequence of like neglecting shit that he set up before, and just like it's like the pace he's rushing himself out and the shit he's doing, it's just it's really it's a lot of it has to do with his weekly schedule, man. Like, you know, I feel like at the point of the series where it is right now, it's like
honestly the goated schedule would really be like
it's not looking great
on some Shonen Jump Plus, like Kaiju 8.
Yeah, Kaiju 8.
They release like 2-3 chapters, take a week break, and then they come back to it again. Take 2-3 chapters, take a week break, come back to it again, and then in the meantime, the guy always releases like colored sketches and shit like that.
Or you can be like Ishida and just come back when you want to, right?
Yeah, the thing is with Oda specifically, it's always like he gets so much praise for just keeping this enormous work schedule, which is just beyond anything a human should do, really. And he deserves all the respect for it, but also he should maybe take a break, even if.
I don't think that schedule should be something you should be.
The nigga is writing mid.
I smack shit out.
Not really.
I smack shit out of that nigga. I ain't praising him for that goddamn schedule.
You didn't hear anything.
Wrong with you?
So, like, my thing is, and also is that sometimes I think that I feel like Oda feels like, okay, I had all these ideas this week, and I want all these ideas into this chapter.
Yeah,
right.
And I think that like spacing that out would allow him to. One, like have more pages just to, because like sometimes, like let's be real, sometimes it is a little cramped. But I also just think that manga, like some manga, like Horikoshi, like when you read his manga, I think people who read the tankobons, like as they release, probably have a better experience than the people who are reading week to week.
Yeah, the volume releases are always like
because when I look at the way like Horikoshi writes some of these interactions and stories, it always feels like he's writing for the tankobon, for like with like a certain stretch of episodes being made in mind. Like the Lady Nagant fight feels like it could have been like one really high octane, really fast episode, because a lot of it is like action shots, or it could be like two, depending on how the directing is done, but like it feels like that was written to be like at most 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But it's going to be like half a volume and then like transition into this stuff. So like it's like thought written with that in mind, not necessarily with 100% how your week to week experience is going to feel.
Which is respect to, that's another thing you got to add to his plate, to being conscious of that while he's doing all of this. It's just, you know, knowing how to structure a series, knowing like how it might present itself in different forms of his story. Like he's just keep an eye out for that, which clearly like Oda is like, I'm sorry to say, but it's just not simply the case. Like it really isn't. I mean, if you guys talking about it like week to week, I mean, some of you know, earlier we're talking about complaints that people were talking about little things. Like you want to talk about little things, like, you know, read that guy's series. Like as far as like worrying about week to week, what might happen, like oh, why didn't he touch on this? Like that's really that's happening there. And
I have to agree, now that I think about it, especially in this arc with One Piece, I really feel like every chapter feels disconnected.
Exactly.
Like really exactly like if you compare to Horikoshi, I could completely believe that he wrote out this entire Nagant fight.
Like we're spoiled.
Not with Horikoshi. He wrote out this entire Nagant fight in one sitting, and then he took a few days to draw the different parts, and then he split it in 2 chapters in the middle because he needed more than 1 chapter for it. Where it really feels like it's connected and it's like something you write in one sitting, more or less. It feels like he put it all together. While with Oda, it often is like he's writing this 1 chapter, and then there are sometimes chapters where he wants the ending to be like a huge reveal or a huge great scene. So he writes an entire boring chapter just to give you the last huge reveal in the end. And then sometimes the next chapter is something else entirely where you just don't see the connection. And I can see that.
And like, like as you've been saying, and as Aniki said, and like as far as like structure goes, he has an eye for that. I honestly think he's like the best doing it right now, as far as like definitely on Jump. And I feel like with Oda has like a way of like falling back on like, he has this tendency to kind of fall back on what he's regurgitated in his last arcs, because it's all like kind of a formula with him. So it's like his fallback thing is like, okay, like if I can put the same elements, just kind of move them around, like, you know, Yamato joining the crew, like stuff like that. It's like he can kind of, you know, different setting, different like events, but it's like there's some stuff that's kind of he can rechurn and kind of, you know, do as far as like in the
He's
repeating process.
regurgitating his plots
Yeah,
so
I mean,
much.
honestly, but like since post time skip, but let's not go that deep. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, I agree.
it's like we're spoiled because we're blessed by Horikoshi being able to kind of give us this new experience that's fundamentally different from other series and also just like unique in its own story and setting. And so and he's doing it phenomenally as far as like planning. I mean, yeah, there's some things we talk about, some things you brought up, Sia, some things we brought up earlier in the stream, but at the end of the day, it's like this guy is handling it rather well. Even in hindsight, I complained about some things. My mindset was the same as Rogers, as far as Rogers base, as far as with the last war arc, but it's like in context now after we had that when I was in that stream, and now looking back on it and what East brought up earlier is like a lot of the points with Midnight, a lot of the things with that I felt specifically about the end with Ochako and everything, it all just feels like I can trust him enough because seeing of what he's doing consistently, like he's bringing me things that matter now that I can know in hindsight. I'm like, okay, I can look back and say he probably will address this again, and I'll be cool with it. It was just in the moment things, but when I look back on it, I can see like, okay, moving arc to arc, I can see the continuity of like how these like smaller arcs of these 20 characters he's handling on screen at a time will get handled. And so I'm cool as far as like character focus, as far as like those arcs go. I'm okay. Like I 100% have more trust in that as opposed to some of these other writers. But yeah, man. And then of course, like, just a quick shout out to Gege because he's, taking his month break. He's also someone that I see has been delivering consistently as well since I think what was 137, I think was the chapter that I think, which is the beginning of the year. So him and Horikoshi had just been pretty much tag teaming Jump and been delivering consistently. So he definitely needs his rest as well. I'm excited for the calling game. I don't know if any of you guys else in the chat read JJK, but
so with JJK, like I've actually liked the Zenin stuff more than I liked the Yuji on the Run. Mm-hmm. But that moreover has to do with me being like, Yuji not gonna be on the run. Like I was like, come on, let's get through this. I don't think he's gonna be on the run long.
Yeah.
So like I had like that kind of feeling about that. But I do think that like Gege made it a point to have that arc be fast because he was like, I'm not gonna waste your time with that. Yeah.
Right.
Like, so it's like there's a certain level of like, if it doesn't need to be long, I'm not gonna make it long. That like it's starting to exist in some of these stories. But then there's also this idea of like they try to make sure that there's complete thoughts between the chapters. It feels like it's in the newer series or like with Dr. Stone, where there's usually like we start somewhere, and even though like it can be like just average sometimes, there's like a start point in the chapter. There's going to be a problem that has to be addressed, and we address how we're going to try to tackle it, and then we have like something that we're moving forward with, and we're always going to be like moving throughout, like where if you binge Dr. Stone, there are segments where it's just like a slow development of like, okay, this is the problem. This is where
not much happening.
But it's like boom, boom, boom. And then it's like, okay, cool. We're establishing the problems, what we're going to need. It's kind of like playing an RPG, except it's like just the parts where you stock up resources and then you get to so it's kind of like reading an RPG.
Yep.
There's a certain scope to it, and you just kind of like where at certain points it's going to be, and you're kind of okay with that. And I think it's fine for Dr. Stone to have its own patterns and deliver that experience.
And a lot of this conversation just kind of it falls under that umbrella of the experience, the week-to-week experience compared to the binging, catching up experience, or even rereading experience. Because I mean, a great example of this, at least for me, is Dressrosa, where reading Dressrosa week to week was
the worst.
Horror.
Like I hated reading Dressrosa week to week, but when I go back to it and reread it or rewatch it or anything, it's
the rewatch
actually
is
pretty
fun.
good. Yeah,
I mean, the thing is, it's better, but it's also the fight was just way too long for me. Yeah. I can't be bothered to reread that fight.
100%. Yeah, the fight has a
but like it's a conversation.
Not even gonna talk about the law thing. We're not even addressing
that. But like it's a conversation that almost kind of needs to be had in this day and age, because like a lot of people and a lot of like creators and content people we see, a lot of is reactionary. And that gets you the views, that gets you the clicks, that gets you that number that goes up, 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 and up. But like when you're trying to like talk about something and have a genuine conversation with somebody, you can't be so reactionary about something like, oh, this was written bad, this was horrible writing, which is like, well, hold on,
Yeah,
this
sure.
aspect hasn't been fully fleshed out yet. Like, I think Shisui, it was you that said it earlier. Like, giving something a couple chapters to actually like think it over, be like, okay, this is the direction we're going with, and it's a lot easier with some series like My Hero or JJK and other series like that. And with One Piece, it's kind of hard because we had just talked about it recently that Oda is just jumping from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and like that's a problem because you're not getting these resolutions that people kind of feel outed, like they feel very out from it all, and it just kind of sucks. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just a conversation that
It's the audience you want to have.
Yeah.
I mean, and like who do you, and then of course mob mentality. That's like how people kind of like your viewers, how they respond to your shit. Of course, like you said, and then of course like Oda's at a different point in his career. I mean, this guy's been doing it, for like almost 30 years. Like he's on a different point. He's on a different path than some of these newer guys. So I understand. Like, I'm not just gonna say he peaked. I mean, I know the part, and I think we all know the areas in One Piece that are like the highest quality of like back in Enies Lobby and stuff. But it's like we still kind of have. If you've been a fan of the series, if you've been a fan of Oda, you kind of still have some faith for the ending as far as like the big things, Blackbeard and all that. So, even though I say these comments, offhanded slight comments, like I'm still kind of like, expecting or at least have a little faith for him as far as the ending.
Yeah, but he needs to take a break.
And I obviously respect him as a writer. Yeah, as you said.
Thinking about what you said earlier, he really needs to take a break because I really think that, especially when you write such a big story, it's one thing to have this work schedule where you just have to write the chapter, draw the chapter, finish up the chapter, and then send it to your editors. All that within a week. That's a lot to do. But also just to write the story, sometimes you have to go back and like reread the arc so far to see where are the loose ends and where are actually my characters. And I think if you just don't take a break, you miss that, which is maybe the reason why throughout this arc I felt a lot of characters just fell off the wayside and I have no idea where they are, because it feels like Oda has no idea where they are in a few scenes. He like just put Sanji somewhere where he faces some enemy, and then he is there, and you just assume that he stays there for the rest of the story until we meet him again. It's, sometimes take that break to reread your story and look where the different characters are.
I mean, in a recent SBS, he forgot that he never said anything about kids' devil fruit.
Okay. Also, I was heard about. Hold on. I was heard about that because I've always thought that Oda hadn't mentioned kids' devil fruit because it was going to have a cool name.
Yeah.
And I was going to do a video, which now I'm glad I didn't do because it would have been proven wrong by Oda and SBS.
We're thinking all this deep shit. He's just like, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, I was like,
oh, I didn't say that. Oops.
Yeah,
like, you're not that guy, pal. Like that.
He was like, it's the Jiki no Mi, like the magnetism fruit. And I was like, damn, I thought you were gonna be more creative because like I thought it was gonna be the punk no Mi. Because like all his like creations have steampunk designs. Yeah, and then, like it's got that like rebellious punk nature. So,
exactly.
Like,
he put this whole character off that like era. Like, man. Anywho, like
so I was like, all right, it's like steampunk. He's got like the gangster punk, the beaner, because he's always got the like the knife too and the scar.
Thing is, Oda kind of like it's weird because my expectations and like it's all out of whack, bro. Because stuff like that where I'm like, I see like he's these really cool things in the series, and I'm like I build these in my head. I'm like, oh shit, because I'm like kind of comparing him, and because Hori does that and Gege did this, so I'm just like, oh yeah, he definitely has it, and I've seen Oda do it before, so that he definitely has his plan, and it's like it turns out it's just like man, like it's just nothing. But then like sometimes like where like I have the mentality where he's not going to deliver, he does like he surprises me and stuff like that. That last couple chapters with the Luffy thing, where I was like, I'm like, why is Luffy like what's going on? Like, and then I see him getting knocked out. I was like, falling. I'm like, oh shit, like he actually is not strong enough to like. I'm like, all right. Like I was a little surprised because I was like, Luffy fighting combat, a hybrid combating.
Now it's stupid from the start. Now? It's just the thing is, I get annoyed with. We've talked about this with MHA before, with characters who just completely do things where we know it will fail. And with One Piece, it was like I was so worried that Oda would actually go through with it. I was really worried about that because it would be bullshit. Exactly. And I'm glad he didn't. But it also, both in hindsight and back then, annoyed me that Luffy would even try it. It's just like
with his cocky little smile, being all like, "I got this."
I'm wondering if he even wants to write the series he had before.
I think what frustrates me is even though I know it's within his characters, it's like this is the whole country depends on him winning this fight. If he loses it, the whole country is gonna get annihilated as soon as Kaido drops the island. And Luffy is like, yeah, I'm gonna do this alone. Because
No. Kaido's gonna. I mean, Zoro's gonna cut it. Don't you know? Like, he gonna slip that bitch.
No,
in half.
Sanji's gonna cook him.
like this really kind of starts annoying me because it's not just Luffy who depends on Luffy winning in these situations. It's the entire country depending on Luffy, and he's shouldering it all.
Can
like,
you imagine if
this,
Oda pulled that out of his ass and Zoro cuts that fucking that whole thing, bro? Can you imagine that, bro?
Okay, so time out. So I do want to like point out that like Luffy was bold as hell, but I do think that to a certain degree, like all those like Supernova 5, Sanji, like all of them need to be like admirals, like level threats.
They do that level.
Like leaving Wano. So it's kind of like this is going to be round 3. We're going to have the monkey, the pheasant, and the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with Yamato, Marco, and Luffy. Zoro, it looks like we'll probably get to fight King, which is fine because King's been like Zoro's going to be kind of like going to that fight injured. King's been getting beat up by Marco this whole time. Like they'll come in there and both be kind of injured, so that'll be fine. Like there's certain things.
How'd you gonna bake his ass? I'm crying.
I have to admit something. Last chapter, not this week. Last chapter, I think that was. There was one panel where I almost quit and put the chapter away. That was when I think Chopper kind of suplexed Queen.
Oh my!
That was so stupid.
Stop!
I mean, of course, in the end, it was like nothing happened, and
we're not even gonna talk about it. Aniki, go ahead.
Like, just seeing it, I was like, no, just quit this.
Let's not even talk about that. I almost forgot about that. PTSD.
The browser.
Look. In that case, the way I look at it is that what that really lets you know is that Sanji is like really strong, like really good. Like if we see like Monster Point, Chopper picking up Queen and slamming, but like and Queen even's like, well, I was playing along with you a little bit, you know. But we also just saw that like Sanji used him as like a rotisserie and then knocked out one of his allies using him. He hit a nigga with another nigga. So
that's the thing with Kaido's crew. They all look ridiculous.
The only thing, despite all of this like complaints, whatever, the only thing that I really wanted to see was just character focus for Kid Law as well, specifically Kid, because to see his growth, to see like him like actually get like see what he was doing in Wano and just get like a couple fights here and there. Because that's the thing, like if he did it traditionally where he grew these characters to this level of strength, like by giving them fights, I mean, who doesn't want to see that? Like I think everyone would have been entertained. Like I mean, I know it's like he's Luffy's the boy, like you gotta 98% of the panels gotta have him, but it's like you got to give a little shine, you know, to some of these other characters so we can at least see like how so it makes sense when we get there. We're like, okay, it just hits more. It's not even more about making sense. It's more just even more like when Sanji did that thing with Queen, like that would have just hit tremendously more if I had seen him. We got that fight with Page 1, like, you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. Like,
all right, but we also need to talk about how
we got to fight with any minister.
I lost any and all respect for Kaido's crew. Like King is the only one who seems worth something. Apart from King, everyone in this crew was either completely humiliated or somewhat humiliated.
Queen got humiliated.
Okay, wait. To me, Queen has done the most out of anybody in the crew, but
he's got.
He just
seems like a joke.
Wait, hold on. I think didn't King get bodied by Marco?
That's all. Yeah, that's really all King has done.
Yeah,
is
but
get
Marco
bodied
is.
by
I
Marco.
mean, Marco's at least
not
the same
and
rank.
kick Big Mom's ship.
He hasn't necessarily got body. Like we haven't seen him, you know. Like,
I mean, Marco was surviving a handicap match.
Yeah. Marco was kind of ridiculous. But this makes Marco look better.
Marco I understand because Marco at least is also Yonko Commander level. But it's just that Queen just had like does a lot, but he just seems weak.
It's because
and Jack
kind
of
was
basically destroyed by what's his name, Ashura Doji, who was now one shot by Kanjuro. I mean,
you can still be a cartoon kind of villain, but still be like a threat. That's the thing. Like you gotta, and then Big Mom.
Even Queen doesn't come along to the guy is suplex.
No, but he did it. He did it before. There were still villains that like.
Okay,
one of my favorite.
Cracker is goofy, but he still put in that work for a bit.
Yeah, Cracker is great.
But
Big Mom's crew is way above Kaido's crew.
But think about what was going on when you got introduced to Cracker. Big Mom was this looming threat that we were headed towards. Like, unfortunately for King and Queen and basically all of Kaido's crew, they have to share the stage with mid-combat Kaido and Big Mom.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
But
this is
even
just a
before that,
horrible
I mean-
situation for
Horrible.
Oda to put them in.
Exactly.
As far as, like,
Exactly. I was like,
agree,
why
I
would
agree.
you
It's
do
just-
that?
It's just from very much the. I mean, this is Oda's decision, and I think he did well with King because King at least got to show up Big Mom a little bit. Yeah, it was kind of humiliating for Big Mom, but at least it was giving
Just to
King
get
some
amnesia
stats.
off that,
But for the
start
others,
turning
it's
into a
just
10-year-old.
I just the whole arc. It's just I can't take Kaido's crew seriously because we started
Right.
this arc one-shotting the low tier fodder in Kaido's crew, just one-shotting them one after the other, and then as soon as Jack basically appeared, he got basically one-shot by Ashura Doji, and it continues like that.
No, but Jack is actually he's taken a lot of damage and still kind of put in.
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot of-
didn't he?
Yeah, doing
he's
it.
the one that surprised me. He's the lowest one on the scale, and he actually was the one surprised.
Hold
But
on,
I just
hold
want
on.
to say
you know
one.
what
Okay.
makes Jack so crazy? This man like straight up invaded, like straight up tried to box like Fujitora, Sengoku, Garp, and then survived.
And then survive. Yeah, I got wiped out by Zunisha until
So-
he's
so-
kind
And
of.
then he got it.
So-
Like this dude is built different. Like, I don't
Okay,
know.
that's the big thing with like. So I think I talked about this on Project Manga when I was on last week.
Like the zone.
Kaido's crew is
physically-
really highlighting the difference between being a good fighter and just being strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of them are just like stat pads, like boom,
Endurance,
HP,
They can
Durability,
take
yeah.
a beating,
like,
but
you
yeah.
got like you got stats and like you got raw power, yeah, but like when you get suplexed by Chopper, when you get kicked around so that like all your attacks, like your body is used to deflect your allies' attacks.
Yeah.
When you get like what Jack has had, where he like runs at all these admirals and stuff, gets
Yeah, he's
sunk and is
stupid.
left in the ocean. Like when
he's
you have all these events going on,
And then he got
And,
stopped
like-
by an elephant.
and like you see like fucking, it's not like the scabbards are supposed to be slouches, they're supposed to kind of like matter.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's not like he's going against these weak people. Like these are all supposed to be like
It's just
young
competency.
commanders, like
Yeah.
high, like vice admiral levels. Like if you sent these niggas out, it would be like a Buster Call type beats. Like
Yeah.
Odin and just these 9 niggas ran at an army of 5,000 back in the day and
Big stuff.
applied actual pressure.
Yeah.
Like,
They had him shook.
Exactly.
Yeah.
so it's like we have like all this, but it's like, where's the? It's like the
Yeah,
delivery,
yeah.
like,
I know what
there's
you
Yeah.
something-
mean. No,
there's
but I
something-
think what I was gonna say is that I think that in sacrifice of Oda trying to push things along, because he no longer wants to, like, you can tell he doesn't want to waste time like developing all this out. He's kind of like
Yeah.
trying to finish this arc, keep it moving, because it's a lot. It's always been taxing, and I think he's trying to finish the story. He has the idea in mind of where he wants to go, and he wants to complete that. And in consequence of that, all the ideas he set up previously get like shortened, and like Big Mom's crew is here because he wants to finish. Like he's trying to tie up these loose ends. Like he doesn't want to go back. He doesn't want to do another arc with it. So he's just like he's wrapping it up. And in our eyes, we see it as like, whoa, like this doesn't really make a lot of sense. So, but that's kind of like what happens when, but
Plus,
hopefully the
Yeah.
payoff in the end is good though, as far as like the Blackbeard stuff and Akainu, like that's the stuff that I'm
Hey,
willing
yo,
to
I
forget a
just
little.
watched. Hey, yo, I just read that new JJK chapter.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, man! Listen,
8
Maki
chapters and was he? I mean 8
dumping.
pages.
Like, listen, I respected Maki. These past 4 chapters is just like
Skyrocket.
her stock went from like GameStop in like 2018 to like GameStop in like 2021. Like it's crazy,
She's always been one of my favorite characters, but this was really cool to see. So
bro. She became
sure.
like a straight up warmonger out here.
yeah,
Just bleed.
man, I knew she would be running shit. But no, that last page,
we
page
have
where
anime
it talks
onlys.
about-
We have anime onlys, by the way.
Screw them.
yeah.
They can read the manga.
Pages up.
We want to see the gas.
Oh no, they started memeing the last page of my hero.
Let me see.
Oh, they
Show us.
did? Oh, shit.
Did they like
Let's see.
put all for ones like?
One of them is I fucked your mother.
Oh, brother.
Oh, no. Oh.
But okay. after our rant about our One Piece segue.
Oh, yeah,
Which
sorry.
wait, actually no, I take that back because I got to talk about that anime episode from yesterday.
Yes. Oh my fucking
'Cause
god.
My God. Okay.
We're not even on the roof yet. We're just fighting fodder on a building, and we're getting animation like that.
Nah,
Let's
that's
fucking
I
They
seen.
cooking,
I
bro.
seen.
They
I
picking
just
up
seen.
the
I
slack.
just seen the clip.
Listen,
Yep.
man.
That shit didn't
Toei
make no
really-
damn sense.
Picking up the slack.
Listen, Toei has made such an incredible, like, remarkable improvement in their scheduling and and just like their overall pre-production schedule that now we're getting consistent drip
Yes.
like
Yes,
this.
sir.
Okay,
They're
this
carrying the team.
They are making
Yes,
Wano
Toei
a much
said-
better
They
art.
Toei
care
said,
of the
"Come back to
gold.
us."
Yeah.
Come back to. You remember how y'all anime only? Come back to us, bro.
Look, like when the way they had like I don't even know why, but like seeing like the
It's the
little
new
stripper
canon.
with it, seeing the screw in kid's hand, and then like the lightning charge off of it,
Mhm.
and that's like that. Like I don't know what this is, just that small detail. I was like, that's dope. And like and of course the Luffy running up the boat sequence was
Yes.
that dummy thick. But then the counter shot, also like the way they had Lost started off with the room. Like, because like before it was just like we knew that they each did an attack and then like they blew up the shit. Like
Yeah.
they didn't flesh out how they humiliated Kaido's crew like this.
Right.
So
I
like,
love that.
Kaido's crew is more sorry than Foxy.
because that shit was hilarious. Because like it was like Lost threw it up in the air and was like, all right, we each got a couple. Like, all right, it's a race. Who gonna destroy it before it hit the water? Like,
Yeah. Hey, yo, to be fair, like when we're comparing Kaido's crew out of like all the crews we've had in One Piece, I think like in terms of intimidation for me, they rank in like around Buggy Foxy level for me. Like Kaido's crew looks legit like a bunch of bodybuilding clowns.
okay, it's because Kaido's crew all has Smile, and Smile are inherently goofy concepts. So you
Yeah.
just keep ending up with this like, and in addition to that,
Like
Kaido-
Baroque works were my dogs.
even narratively, Kaido's crew is kind of supposed to represent what I mentioned of like just having a bunch of power versus actually being a good fighter. Because it's literally just like, all right, here's the devil fruit, eat this. All right, cool, free buff. So they're just like, we'll just throw a bunch of powers and weapons at it, and we'll be strong.
But
So,
Kaido also has advanced techniques like
yeah,
being
Kaido
able to, like
does.
Conqueror's hockey into that canal bow.
Kaido's also like 40 and built different.
He's only 40?
Somewhere
He's
around
like
there
40.
because
Something like that.
he was an apprentice pirate on
Oh wait, no, you're right. He's
on
like
Rock's
55,
crew.
60.
Kaido's 50. Yeah,
so he'd
that was
have to be like around mid 50s to early 60s because Big Mom is like 68.
Yeah. He's like 50. So
Yeah. So he's in his 50s. My bad. I don't know why I said that. He's like around the same age as All Might.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a different investment of 50 some years.
oh shit, Final Fantasy. Oh, all right, I got a dip because I
Hey,
got some.
that's okay. I was about to say we should probably start wrapping up anyway because we just did the One Piece and once we start going off topic, like that's usually the sign that we're about wrapping up.
Good stream though. Good stream.
Hey,
Mhm.
you got any last thoughts you want to get out, excuse me, before we start going around the horn and you dip out?
Just what I said earlier. Consistency. I've been loving it. Horikoshi. Been placing a lot of faith in him since 297, more than usual. And I'm excited to see how it's all going to develop with Midoriya. And yeah, man, just for the chat, for everyone who just kind of has some doubts about the pacing, anything like that, like just trust the process. He hasn't really given us a reason to doubt him in any way, shape, or form. And I think the pacing's been great. I think the information what we've gotten has been phenomenal. And so yeah, man, I'm excited to see this character focus and where we go from here, man. I loved it, and I hope next chapter he just keeps this up for sure.
All right. Squid.
I'll let East sing my little Horikoshi. I'll let him do the phrase.
Originally, this is mostly, I think, for me. Like, if I were to summarize this chapter, star player for me, it has to be All For One. He stole the show here.
100%.
100%, yeah, expeditiously. I'm very interested what's going to happen with Nagant. I've kind of accepted that either being alive or dead. I'm okay with both. I'd prefer being alive, but you know, I have no problem with either. The transition from like Deku looking like horrified and like ready to smoke all for one to going and appearing at the mansion was very smooth because the leaks made that seem like they were just having a conversation and then we were like went to a mansion like 2 months later and I was like, but no, it was way smoother. But then again, Sushi is terrible at actually hyping the manga.
Well,
I'm glad we used the CRC hideout. Uh, I personally think there's going to be like a resurrection in that group because of the fact Giganto Mafia is a mutant who did rampage through those cities. So those connotations between heteromorphs and villains will be further strengthened as we saw with the Fox Lady. AFO's rhetoric I found very compelling because it has a very strong surface level argument, but the moment you actually, well, use real um the moment you actually start acknowledging some of the flaws in his argument, you kind of realize that it's not made to prove Deku wrong. It's just meant to demoralize him. Uh, the framing of All for One is, I think, what really made him stand out. I've kind of been arguing that he's a exploitator. You know, he's no better than the Commission in terms of being a person in power who preys on the injustice of the world to gain power. And I think what topped that off was him pointing like Uncle Sam. I think it's very obvious. All for One's kind of like this symbolism of commercialism and capitalism. And he's just proving that he is the symbol of evil and that reputation and that experience of dealing with these people is really showing and it's reflected in the pace of how quick it's going. Altogether, this is a solid 9 out of 10 chapter. This is really, really good. Also, potential introductions of Chimera and maybe some other like Tartarus villains has me very excited for arcs probably relating to Shoji and maybe even Tokoyami. That's something I'm really looking forward to. Altogether, 9 out of 10. Fantastic chapter.
all right. Thank you, Bishop Squid. Let's see. Sleeping Ponzu, you got any final thoughts? Nope. All right. Sleeping Ponzu says,
Very insightful.
yes.
Like the stream.
Like this stream, guys.
Yes. All right. All right. Well, Ponzu made a great point there. All right, guys. Walk-ins.
Oh boy, what a great chapter! Lots of talking points here. All for One finding a new toy in Deku. Funny that they're using basically MHA's KKK, their old hideout and all that. Cool, neat, awesome.
So inconsiderate of All for One.
Yeah,
I
that's
know,
cool.
right? Like,
Tomura, listen, you know what made Tomura such a goat as a leader? He was encouraging, but also he was considerate. He would have
yeah.
taken Spinner's feelings into consideration.
Exactly. And yeah, so poor Spinner. Lady Nagant, I mean, I know there's gonna be people being like, oh well, she's not dead, so Horikoshi consequences. Man, All for One still put something in her and put her life in danger. There's still consequences and things to be terrified of in all this. So that little nugget of criticism, put that somewhere else. Whatever.
Preferably somewhere behind.
Yeah, whether she lives or dies, I don't care at this point. You know, if she her purpose will be served in whatever her fate is. But great chapter overall. Love the talking points that we have from it. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Walkins. Say yes.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with Ponzu. I think it's overall it's very similar to the last chapter in the sense that I'm still not certain how I feel about the arc, and I'm still certain that as soon as it's over, I will look back at it probably fondly. If this goes awry, as it already did, I mean the thing blew up. So now that it went awry, depending on how the reaction now will be, and if I really get some guilt from Deku or guilty feeling from Deku, I would really like this, I think, and then I would look back at the arc and really like it. But as of now, I'm still iffy about the direction of the arc, and I don't really know where it's going. So I feel very similar about this chapter as I did last chapter. For the sake of just saying this chapter, of course, a little bit better because there's some endeavor in it. Overall, I think, as I said before, with this arc, this arc's pacing is just something that strikes me again. And this chapter in particular, it was so quick, and I don't really know if that's a positive or a negative. It was over so fast, and I was really, really surprised how fast that was. But yeah, I would say 7 out of 10.
All right. Archbishop East.
Let's go.
Ooh, the best for
go.
last. That's crazy. Hey,
Let's go,
let me
King.
tell y'all niggas what's really good because it's
gonna
undefeated
talk
on the
to you.
East, baby.
Let's go.
Listen, once again, my goal putting out nothing but straight flames, baby. Let me tell you something.
Fire on this pen.
That motherfucker putting in work. And I how do you make me love somebody that I hate so goddamn much?
You better listen.
And I'm not just talking about that bitch ass bird, because that he has some great lines this chapter. I still hate that nigga guts, but I never deny facts. He has some great lines this chapter about not giving up. But I'm talking about Nutsack Face, who immediately stole the show once again. This motherfucker's charisma and his Buddha-like presence steals the show every single time, and it never ceases to fucking amaze me how this nigga can be this much of a dickhead, but lovable dickhead at the same goddamn time. He is absolutely a phenomenal fucking villain once again. But I will say this, and I'm gonna keep saying this: enjoy it while it lasts. These niggas are on the forefront for a reason. So all those goats, old head goats you see up there, enjoy the screen time they're getting now, because when you captain this series, you don't come back to life. And all those old men got they flags on them. So best believe, enjoy the awful one things you get now, because he gonna be at the paint by next year. Love to see it. But Tarnish made a good point, and when he told me talking Tarnish, he made a good point in that us getting awful one, we're getting from awful one is actually greater for Deku's character and awful one together, because he's gonna be putting Deku through the ringer. This is not something Shigaraki would do. Shigaraki maybe a lot more meticulous or calculate now, but he wouldn't be doing all this mind games to fuck with Deku. He just straight up go fuck Deku up. Meanwhile, you get all for one playing these tricks and mind games. So we get like, while Shigaraki's on the back foot and the back burner resting, we get this type of cat and mouse, like Joker, Batman type feel, like Deku being toyed and is really fucking up his mental state. So this is really beneficial for the series overall and fleshing off one's character and having see how he truly operates, because we won't get another villain like him once Shigaraki steps to the forefront and dusts that old bitch ass nigga. But listen, man, I want y'all to know them niggas in the back, they ain't gonna be no joke. Once again, just know, bro, like it's because a nigga can't scale to All Might in his prime and he got put in Tartarus, don't mean he can't beat Endeavor ass. So just know all these new niggas that got packed up in the baddest prisons of the bad got stocked up with extra heat. So, ooh, y'all thought this shit was bad? This is only the beginning. And I can't wait to see where we go from here. Hey man, y'all know. Shout out to Off One. I hate that nigga, but shout out that nigga out. Yo, God 10 out of 10. Horikoshi the motherfucking GOAT, nigga. Undefeated of the East, baby.
Yeah, I really love how he even turns All Might's words against him. Just,
He really
It's my
is the star player when he's around.
Awful One, look, that's Awful One knows how to steal the show. And I feel like that's okay. Like, whether or not Awful One is big, like his presence, he's always been this ominous threat. And even if, let's be real, even if Awful One, the flesh meat dies, the vestige for one will always be in the story, more than likely. So we'll always get that juicy shit talking goodness that we love. I love this chapter. I'm not gonna give it a 7 out of 10 like Sayas did with her hating ass. Probably because Endeavor wasn't out here looking sexy or anything like that. I get it. If there's no NG pound cake on the screen, it's not delicious.
Damn.
No, I'm kidding.
How you gonna
What
eat
can I
their
say? I'm a girl with simple needs.
But we appreciate all
Gotta
y'all
get
that
those
came
things out
through,
now.
and look forward to next week. I hope Gege gets better because JJK ending here would be kind of like
Fuck me.
so,
With so much potential.
When
yeah.
Maki is on this warpath, no, we need like listen, I
Hey.
could go like a whole 100 chapters just with Maki, okay? She's dead.
Shush.
Hey,
Relax.
May Yoroi Musha be murked by Stain. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Stop reading this game.